Welcome, welcome, welcome. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It is once again that time for the way too early for a Friday podcast. I'm excited because we already got people in the chat. But first of all, I am John Greaves III. I'm the founder of Garage Gym Life. This is a Garage Gym Life production. And I am so excited that you guys are all here. If this is your first time, welcome to the show. We are on from 6 a.m. Eastern Time to 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That way I get to say good morning to every single time zone here in the United States. So go ahead, do me a favor, hit that like and that subscribe for me, trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. In fact, if things go well, today might be the day where I hit 30,000. So we're under 1,000 away from 30,000 subscribers, and I'm so excited and grateful for that, because that momentum that's building is all because you guys are sharing the content, you're liking the content, and so every time you like the content, YouTube is recommending it to other people. And when you share the content, obviously they subscribe as well. So we are growing, and it is all thanks to you. I already got some people in the chat. Let me go ahead and say what's up to you guys. I normally wait a little bit, but I want to tell you guys what's up right now. So Adex Adjustable Exercise Clubs and Maces is in the building. He's in the chat, and we're actually going to be talking to him in about an hour. Then Kettlebell Carlos said he is pumped for this one. And those two comments were actually from yesterday. And my guy Carlos, CBS True Consumer Reviews, the resident Garage Gym Life fitness movie reviewer, is in the building as always. He's early. He's from the Central Time Zone, but I believe he's at this time he is either already in his second lap around at the park or heading back to the house to get his workout, the lifting part of his workout started. So my guy, appreciate you being here, man. So let's go ahead and jump into what is on. Oh, before I jump into that, once you get here in the chat, I want you to put in the chat what you're working today. What are you working on today? Once again, I got deadlifts and I've got a little bit of shoulder pressing on the menu for me, but you guys tell me what you guys are working on today. Put it in the chat. And let's give you the rundown what's on today's show, because we got a packed show. All right. So first of all, we got the Friday dance party. Today's dance party is going to feature home gym dance videos from at Feeling Wonderful, at Stronger Movement, at Mun's Fitness, and our guy Carlos Brown is also featured. This time, I can't even describe what he's doing. We'll just have to get to there. All right. Then our guests are going to be U4C founders Matt Struve and Mike Gulla. They're going to be joining us at the 6:07 hour, and they are going to be talking about their new product, which is a hack for doing calf raises at home if all you have is a barbell, a straight bar. So I'm excited to talk to them. Of course, at 6:45 roughly, we've got news and other things. So I'm going to tell you news from around the home gym world, along with something that I just thought was funny, give you guys a little bit of a behind the scenes peek at stuff that happens to me. I know you guys always enjoy laughing at me. Then at 7, we're going to debut a brand new segment, and I'll tell you guys all about that when we get to that point, but we got a brand new segment I think you guys will like. Then at 7:05, Jake Jaworski, the founder of Garage Gym Experiment and also the mind behind HomeGymCon, is going to join us. He's going to give us a HomeGymCon update. And so I'm excited to talk to him and get an update from the man himself. Of course, after that, we're going to have to do the Recliner of Rage. You know the Recliner of Rage has to happen today. We're going to be doing the Recliner of Rage. And then if I have time, I will also do home gym channels you've never heard of. And I'll tell you guys about a home gym channel that I think you should be subscribed to. Then at 8:05, as I said, we're going to have Don Giafardino from Adex Clubs and Maces, and he's going to join us to talk about his adjustable maces, which I think are superior to the other styles of brands of adjustable maces that are on the market. I have used the Shoulder Rock. I have used a few other styles, and I think the Adex is superior, and we'll talk about that at that point. And then at 8:45, we'll be playing your home workout videos. That's when we're going to do the what are you doing in your house segment. But I want to get all the guests in so that they can continue on with their days first. And I also like to catch you guys before you actually get your workday started in case you want to ask my guests questions. So as the show goes on, we evolve. All right. But that's enough of my rambling. I know what you're here for. You are here for the home gym dance party.
Money, Nicki Minaj, Justin, show you off. Tonight I wanna show you off. What you got? A billion could've never bought. We gonna party like it's 30 and 12 tonight. I wanna show you all the finer things in life. So just forget about the world we got tonight. I'm coming for ya, I'm coming for ya. 'Cause all I need is a beauty and a beat who can make my life complete. It's all about you.
All right. And that was the home gym dance party that we debut every single Friday here at the Way Too Early for Friday morning show. And we had some cool videos there. You guys may have seen my little girl. My daughter, I told her I was not going to let her be a part of this because I have a thing about putting her on the internet. But she saw Coach Carp's kids on last time. She said, okay, well, if they're on and I get to be on, I said, okay, this one time. So she's in there. And it's always cool hanging out and enjoying life with my little girl. Remember that I want you guys to tag at Garage Gym Life on Instagram to have your home gym dance videos featured during the Way Too Early for a Friday podcast morning show. And we're definitely going to always be excited to have you guys jump in here for that. Remember, the Friday Dance Party is sponsored by Freedom Fitness Equipment. That is where I got the current power rack I have, and it is where you can get any equipment that you need if you would like to turn your home gym space into the best gym in town. My guy Ashton is always willing to help you out. You can give him a call. This dude actually gave me his phone number and told me I'd go ahead and tell you guys. You can call him 980-216-4860, and Ashton will help you out in terms of getting whatever it is that you need to get your home gym all set up. You can also check out his website at freedomfitnessequipment.com and then use there's a contact form. You can use that there and he will hook you up with whatever you need, like I said, to get your gym all set. Also, Beauty and the Beat, the song that you guys just heard, is a Justin Bieber song, and I never thought I'd be playing a Justin Bieber song, but it's happened. So life just changed for me and everybody else. And it is licensed from Licked. Licked is the biggest mainstream stock music platform for content creators. You'll be able to actually get music that people will recognize if you want to play it in your videos. Unlike, there's nothing wrong with stock music, but sometimes you want to play songs that people know or that sound familiar. And so if you want to do that, you can try Licked free for 14 days and get 50% off your first mainstream track. The link for that is in the description for this video. No promo code, no affiliate link. It's just something that I think that you guys might enjoy using. But that's enough of all of that. We are now through the first two segments. Look at that. We are rolling. All right. And it is now time for our first guest. Are you guys ready? I hope you're ready because our first guest is here. Welcome, Mike and Matt. What's going on? So first of all, just like in school, raise your hand. Mike? All right, good. So that means you're Matt?
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, good. There's two of you. I gotta keep this straight, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
We just met. All right, come on now. I should
That's
have.
right, man.
I should have.
Thanks for having us on the show.
Oh yeah, man.
Man.
It's gonna be this level of energy or higher the entire time. Okay. Because immediately when you guys came on, I had like I'm a shenanigans coordinator, right? So I wanted to mispronounce your names like that Key and Peele segment. Like, Ike, Ike. Where are you, Ike?
You got both right.
You got both right, man. I
right.
looked at Matt. I was like, man, he said my last name right. That was great. That was great.
Man, I was in the mirror practicing. Not only, this is a big day. So not only was I practicing your names in the mirror to make sure I got them right, I also sprayed on my good cologne because I know this is our first time meeting. So we should be all set. All right. Well, guys, man, tell me about, you guys have this product here, and I want you guys to go ahead and tell me about your product. Tell me a little bit about how did this happen, because you guys are home gym owners. You started your home gym in, I think, 2019. I mean, you don't live together, but you started working out in a home gym in like 2019. Okay. So
we met in 2019 and then lockdowns happened, and then,
okay.
Need happened.
All right. So how long did it take from starting to work out? Well, whose house is it that you guys are at?
Right? Oh, it's my house. Yeah,
it's Matt's
okay.
house.
All right. So you're Matt, right?
Yep.
All right. I'm doing good. All right. So how long did it take before you guys started working out at Matt's house before you guys came up with the idea for the this calf solution?
Well, the when the lockdowns happened, that's when I started building the gym. All the products were back ordered. I had to go to Facebook Marketplace to find some stuff. I had to wait on, for Road Rack. I had to wait like 3 months. You know how it was back then. So the gym came together kind of slowly. And so it, like, as I built the whole thing, and I've got calves that need work. So
say don't we all, man? Don't we all?
Yeah. And,
I mean, come on now. Okay, so we're alive. All right.
I could work the soleus muscle, with a couple of, let's say, 80-pound dumbbells. You can put them on there and just do seated calf raises. But as far as standing calf raises, there was no solution. If I'm doing it with a barbell, and I didn't have a safety squat bar like you mentioned the other day on chat, and I love that. But I did not have a safety squat bar to do that.
Okay.
And you did a hack video just yesterday on that, and that was great. But I definitely didn't have that, and so I had to find a solution. I went out, I think we put collectively like maybe a few days straight trying to find some sort of adapter out there that would fit onto a rack that would allow standing calf raises. Because I don't have much room in here. This is a single stall garage, and so there's not much room for, let's say, I'm not going to use the footprint for a standing calf raise machine, and I only have enough room, and I want to do free weights. I don't want to have a Smith machine.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
So that all those pressures, just made me kind of think, man, how can I build a hack myself just so we could have something to use. And so during the summer, we didn't start working out. It was probably around August, September, and then we finally started working out. And then I was like, you know what? This calf thing is really, it's like eating me up. I want a solution for it. And so I kind of approached Mike with the idea, and he's a woodworker, and he had some ideas on that design or the concept.
But I didn't at first, John. I didn't believe when Matt was like, "Dude, I can't find anything."
Oh, yeah.
I was like, "Shoot, man!" I'm like, "I'm gonna find. There has to be a product.
There has to be something.
There ain't no way, right?" So then when I couldn't find it, I was like, "Dude, this doesn't exist." And then of course Matt in his designer brain was like, "I have an idea that I think would work." And he told me about the idea, and I was like, "Shit, dude!" I'm like, "I could build this in 10 minutes in my garage, like out of wood. Like, let's prototype it, see if it actually works." Which I should have brought the prototype over here with me. And
it's pretty funny.
Show it, having
right?
Our little pine wood 3x3 with little dowel bars on the back. So we built it, and I still remember, and we still have the video of it when we tested it out. And I was like, "Holy shit, this actually could work really well." Like we were doing it with a bar with, I think.
All right, so I see. I'm gonna have to. All right, so you look like you were the dangerous one, Matt, but I see that it's Mike. Okay, so every so often I have to remind the guests, people are listening to this show in their cars as they're taking their kids to school. So we have to keep the profanity at 0 or -1. So no cussing. Also, my mom watches every episode, and she'll be like, and she will talk to you, but she's like, "Yeah, so that guest," she was like, I'm like, no. So I am not afraid to share your contact information with my mom. You will get scolded. I'm not taking it.
Gotcha.
Fair enough. But not so.
All
right, but so you said that you had the prototype and you were talking about how there wasn't anything that existed, right? So for me, I think that that's a good thing. Like I mentioned to you guys in our DM on Instagram, like scarcity and adversity lead to innovation. Because if you guys had a safety squat bar like I do, you would never have thought of this product, because it would have been, oh yeah, problem solved. We just do it this way.
Exactly.
Because if you already have a thing, that can kill your creativity in a certain way. So it actually worked out well that you didn't have a safety squat bar, because you created a solution for people who don't have a safety squat bar. And I would argue that your solution is cheaper than a safety squat bar. Because how much does your product run for?
We're selling for $299. So yeah,
$299.
Yep, about
$299.
Price right around the, like a sandwich J-cup, like from Rogue or something like that.
Right. All right, so $299.
So
did you say $299?
$299, yeah.
Okay,
so
okay,
right about a really high quality, heavy duty sandwich J-cup runs around $279, something like that. And the amount of steel that we're using on this thing, each one is around 10 pounds, and so they're pretty heavy. They're heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if I look at a quality safety squat bar, will run you in the 300 range.
In 300 range, yeah.
300 change, yeah. So like I said, your product is less expensive than a safety squat bar. So for somebody who's not like, if you're not competing in powerlifting or strongman, you're just doing general fitness, you don't really need a safety squat bar. Sure. So this is actually a way to kind of save some money. Tell me though, you had units ready for sale in 2023. So how did you get from the prototype drawing? Matt shows up, has a prototype drawing, and he says, hey, look at this thing. I know it's in crayon, whatever. Here, can you make this, right? Can you make this thing? How did you guys get from that prototype drawing to having units for sale in 2023?
Man, that could be a long conversation, man. But we can synopsis a little bit. I'll kick off on this one if that's cool. So the first thing we did, John, like I come from the business world, right? My whole career has been around business and product development and building companies and whatnot. So the first thing that we did when we realized that the product didn't exist was, how do we find out if it really doesn't exist in somebody else's mind, somebody else's idea? So we went into the patent search route, right? We went out and we hired an attorney firm to do a patent search to understand what the market looked like on it, whether or not there was something out there. Like, was this really a novel idea, or did nobody actually create it? Like somebody owned the idea, but nobody had actually built it and manufactured it yet. So we invested a little bit of money into that, found a good attorney, did that search, came back, and they were like, yeah, we couldn't find anything. Like, this does not exist. There's no patent material out there that we can find that we think would prevent you guys from doing this. So then we went into the whole patent discussion around, how do we get a patent filed? What do we want to do to get the patent filed? And at the same time, we actually got connected with a company here in Texas called Innovium, which has been an incredible partner for us, who actually specializes in helping people like Matt and I, who don't, have an in with the manufacturing world or an understanding of like, how do you build a metal product like this? Like, I don't know engineers, I don't know manufacturing. I have no idea how to, manufacture this. But he
said Innovium.
Yeah, Innovium. Yeah, we could share the links to
because I'll try to put it in the description for anybody who's watching. So if they want, if you've got a product idea, I'm gonna get the link and put it in here so that you guys can maybe reach out to this company.
This guy's phenomenal.
Off the ground.
Yeah, this guy's phenomenal. He's an angel in terms of his connections and his ability to help people who, don't have millions backing them or anything else, but he knows the connections even in out of USA. If you want to go to China, stuff like that, we had the option for that, but that's a different topic. Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, we wanted to stay here, right, John? Like we and anybody that goes to u4cfitness.com, like you'll see, like everything we do with U Cups is made here in the States. It's all made here in Texas, right? We didn't want to push anything overseas. And Alan and Innovium was able to help us do that, right? He got us connected with the engineers that took our drawing, worked with us. We went through multiple renditions with them to prototype. We did, 3D printed prototypes. We did other plastic prototypes just to get everything the way that we thought it needed to be, right? To fit the barbell, to fit the weight. We had to run the engineering tests to make sure that they could hold up to 1,000 pounds of weight. We drop tested them. Like, we did so many things over the last couple of years to get them right. Then we had to go through the whole process of where do we find a manufacturer that's here in Texas, right? We wanted to make it here in Texas. We're based in Austin. We wanted to keep it local. So we ended up finding a manufacturing company down in San Antonio that ended up working out great for us. That did prototyping and went through the whole entire thing, as you know, right? Like you don't get it right. Like it's a manufactured product and it's metal and there's bends, like so many little nuancy things that we had to work through, man. But finally got to the point this year where we got our final production units to put out on the market. It's been awesome. It's been awesome.
Yeah, late last year. And there's a big difference between prototyping and then the actual process and the tooling required for production runs, and we.
So what's been the reaction from the home gym community to your product so far?
So far, it's been nothing but positive. But again, we haven't done advertising. You are literally the first experience that we're having right now debuting this. Just so you know, like we've run into delays with our. We have probably about 50 at the moment.
Yeah,
50, 60 that we can ship out. Because we were using and I have a Monster Light Rogue rack, so it's 5/8 inch pin. And I kind of regret not choosing our first production run with 1 inch pins, because I think that's far more common. We get a lot of people emailing us saying, let me know when you have the 1 inch pin available. But 5/8, I don't know. We have yet to learn about the differences between, the market that buys, let's say, a 5/8 inch pin rack versus a 1 inch pin rack. I think 1 inch is far more common now. So in hindsight, I wish, but we have a current production run in process right now for 1 inch. So that's going to be coming soon. But everybody we've showed it to is like, I can't believe this didn't exist. What's going on? And I would say it's not a hack. This wouldn't be a hack. We tried.
No, because to me, a hack is a workaround or whatever. This is an actual product.
This is an actual
Actually,
product.
you know what? Hang on a second.
Okay.
For those who are watching, let's go ahead and just show them the product. So this is this is you showing what the problem is.
Yeah, me losing balance right there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
And that's what I was doing in 2020, trying to figure it out. Am I going to lean forward and drag it against the rack? And
and we thought all kinds of crazy stuff, man. Putting straps on it to like hold it to the bar, like it was.
There's like 15 different common hacks out there for standing calf raises that you can find on YouTube, and they all destroy your bars knurling, or they or it's awkward, or you lose your balance in different ways. Or let's say with a safety squat bar, and I know we talked about this, and you do it like awesome. Like you were doing it pretty steady, but I still saw a little.
Well, I studied it in school.
Yeah. Say it again.
I said I studied safety squat bar in school.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say safety squat bar is probably the best thing I've seen out there that could be dependable for performing the action.
But then that depends on, as we're looking at your product right there, the thing I like about it is it doesn't require you to, like, it kind of does a lot of the mental work for you. You're like, all right, I'll put these on, put the bar on there, and it kind of just does the work for me. Whereas even with I'll show my safety squat bar hack. This is you kind of have to like have a few moving parts, do that right there. I'm sure nobody wants to hear me breathing. And I actually, like I was telling you guys, I actually went heavier than I normally would because you had a question about, well, what happens if it gets heavy? But you guys notice I'm not holding on to the safety squat bar. I'm holding on to the rack itself. Right, and if you don't have a well-designed safety squat bar, that sucker it'll leave without you. It'll
John, I guarantee it.
Y'all are part ways.
I wouldn't have, that would have sufficed big time.
Yeah, but see that right there. So that's why I like the fact that, honestly, I like the fact that you guys didn't have it, because if you had it, then this product would never have come, this product would never exist, because you would have, like I said, oh, well, I got a solution and I'm done. And I've tried all the other stuff. I've tried the donkey calf raises with the dip belt. I've tried all these different things. But to your point, there's not really been a dedicated, compact solution for calf raises, because that's the thing. There are tons of solutions. They're not compact. Yeah. So go ahead, show your product again. Let me give you.
So it's like it was inspired from a J cup, just with the logic that my thinking went through was, well, if I'm tipping backwards, once I elevate my toes on a calf raise block or a ramp or whatever, if I do that, I always fall backward no matter what. So there's a great amount of effort that's required in order to stay upright and to keep that, you know, up and down plane of motion. And so this, I mean, so this is basically a J cup, a little more narrow, and it's got that protector bar here that can prevent it from tipping backwards. And so now we can go as heavy as we want, literally up to 1,000. I think I've tried 405 because I don't have much weights here. We're gonna try to bring enough plates to give a good challenge at HomeGymCon.
Nice.
But yeah, so we can actually have people really push the limits, because quite frankly, I don't think people have ever been able to push the limits. I always think of that picture with Arnold, Franco Columbo, you know, sitting on his back and
doing the Tony James,
yeah, I think it was, and it's such a classic photo of like trying to add more weight for the calves.
Yeah.
This you can add as much as you want, practically, as much as you know,
as much as you can handle. Yeah.
Yep. And you can go to failure without worrying about re-racking the bar. You know, you can just, it's right there.
Yeah, because even the way I do it, if something went wrong, me and the bar are kind of, you know, we're married, you know, for that time. So if something goes wrong, I better have the safety bar set, you know, so that they'll catch that bar. And then, and even then, okay, now I'm kind of on my own. Whereas your solution, it's, again, it takes, I hate to say it takes the thought out of it, because it doesn't, but what it does do, in my opinion, is allow you to focus on, you know, the mind muscle connection, being able to just focus on your actual movement, as opposed to worrying about all the ancillary things that can happen. Like, okay, well, I need to make sure I do this. I need to make sure I can do that. It's almost like getting into a calf raise machine. You get in, and it just says, all right, just focus on what you're doing, and we'll worry about stability and everything else. So I really love it for that.
Speaking of which, on like a Smith machine or a calf raise machine, or what I've heard referred to as a single plane of motion, right? The surprise that I didn't even think of, or we didn't think of until we actually got a working prototype that we could put some weight on there. The fact that it's free weight, that there's multiplanar, like your stabilizers and your ankles and everything else really have to work for it while you're doing the motion, because there's like a free flow, even though you're within a narrow chamber and the bar is going up and down, but you still, I noticed that maintaining that bar, like if I can minimize the amount of tapping that I'm doing against the U-cup, I found that the burn and the workout my calves and my stabilizers were getting in my ankles was tremendous. Like I don't remember that when I was going into the, just using a machine at a gym. And I think it has something to do with just all that micro activity of maintaining balance while the U-cup, provides safety. But I found it to be a better workout. I remember my wife tried it, and she was sore for 5 days, and she's like, I never get that kind of a workout when when I go to the gym and I just use a machine. So nice. That was kind of a surprise, actually.
And it's also, you can handle more weight than you can with where you do like the single dumbbell calf raise and all that kind of thing. Let me go back to you, Mike, for a second. You guys, you said that you partnered with a company in Texas. Do you guys plan to keep your production facilities in Texas even as you grow?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. I mean, as much as possible, right? We would love to. I mean, I would say that first and foremost, it's going to stay stateside, right? I don't ever foresee us in any point in the future moving our operations outside of the U.S.
Your fulfillment's in Texas too, right?
What's that, sorry?
Your fulfillment is in Texas too?
Yep, everything. Yep, everything that we do it's built in Texas. It's the steel comes from here. It's fabricated here. It's boxed here. It's shipped from here. We do the production facility in San Antonio, and everything goes over to Corpus Christi, and that's where our warehouse is. That's where everything gets shipped from. So a couple of things there, man. Like, as you know, going through the process of trying to manufacture this, everybody that we've worked with up to this point has been based in Texas, from the engineers. We used a firm in San Antonio that does a bunch of projects for the U.S. military, that does all kinds of 3D prototyping and making parts for aircraft that the company no longer exists, from the 1970s, and they had to come up with some hack for it. There's a thing about the whole hospitality and the people in Texas that you hear about, right? And it's so true. Like, when you're two guys like us trying to form a company like we're trying to form, being able to work with people that actually answer the phone, have conversations with us. We've watched so many other people in the fitness space that have manufactured stuff overseas and they get their product and are like, well, I can't even use these, right? Like we've seen it on Jake's podcast with people that have talked about getting a crate full of stuff that they just can't use that came from overseas, right? So, you know, we're very much about staying in America. I love American made. You know, it drives our costs up, right? Not to hide around that, right? It's a lot more expensive to manufacture here in the States, but the quality of the product, the people that we get to work with, you know, creating jobs here in America and keeping everything here for us has always been, you know, it's been a big thing for us right from the very, very beginning. And that's not going to change. You know, there's some great manufacturers in the US, right? I'm sure at some point we're going to outgrow our manufacturing facility. Maybe we won't, right? They're planning to grow, you know, their business as well. So we may not have to, but, you know, if it left Texas, it would definitely stay in the States, but I don't see us being outside of the great state of Texas anytime soon, man.
So you said, and this actually was a good segue because I wanted to talk about like money a little bit. But before we go to what I was going to ask you, it occurred to me as you're saying that, you know, it costs more to manufacture in the United States. And I remember when I interviewed Chris Duffin, this was, it was before the pandemic. And one of the things he said in that conversation was, it costs more on the it costs more on the front end. He said, but it saves you money in the long run because so let's say you manufacture in China. Unless you've got somebody who you trust on the ground in China, you're gonna have to go over there to make sure they understand your concept, and then make sure that they are manufacturing. And then you got to check the first run to make sure that it meets the specifications that you expect and that you're promising your customers on your website. Right. So you do that. So that's one flight to China. Then you come back to the States and let's say you go through the first production run and everything's great. You order another run. Well, you're probably not going to fly back to China because of how much it costs. You're going to say, okay, well, look, just make it just like the last time. Right. And that's where companies run into problems if they don't have somebody on the ground, because human beings are human beings. They have Friday afternoons in China too. Okay. So like, yeah, this one's made on a Friday. Well, they got Fridays in China as well. And, or India or wherever you manufacture overseas. And if there's not somebody there to say, hey, no, this doesn't work. Now you're stuck with a production run and you won't find out something's wrong with it till it gets to the States in the hands of your customers. And now they're starting to return products and you're having to say, okay, well, we'll send you another one. So then you send them another one. They're like, well, this one sucks too. And then you send them another one. Okay, well, this one's bad too. Well, now you've got 200 products, 200 units of your product that are unusable because they don't match your spec. So now you got to fly back to China with your unusable product over your shoulder in a sack, like angry Santa Claus. Like, hey, look at all this garbage you sent me, right? Well, look at the cost we're looking at here. Whereas here in the States, if it's wrong, you can just drive over there and say, hey, no, this ain't going to work, guys.
Yeah.
You know,
and
you also have more legal recourse too.
Yep. And we've done that so many. That was probably one of the cool. The first time that we went to the manufacturing facility and saw them laser cutting the steel that they use for U-cups. And then we saw the press brake that they created. And then we saw the jig that they created to make sure that the specifications met everything on the traveler documents. And we got to go through, like, I mean, it was just such an awesome feeling to see them making it and see the welders like welding on the gusset and going through that whole process. It's just something we never would have gotten over.
And there were still flaws. You know, some of them were right, but not at a point where we could just spot check. You know, like there were flaws that were during the whole process, and they were so like they were so willing to, you know, bend over backwards to try to fix that. We were just so impressed. To accommodate their client and to get it right. And it probably cost them in materials more than we paid them. I mean, it was really amazing. But to your point, if you have that kind of, you know, 50% are good, but 50% are flawed, is a person overseas, is a company overseas going to really be able to, you know, give you that kind of QA and take that on, you know?
100%. And now we've got some people in the chat here. We're talking to, let's see here. I'm going to see if I can do it again. Mike Struve and Matt Gulla from UC4 Fitness. They've come up with a solution for calf raises. So my guy, Matt Welch, Tattoo Sayin from the UK, just jumped in the chat. And so he actually triggered a question in my head that I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys as well. But if you guys in the chat have any questions for Mike and Matt, please put them in the chat, and I'll make sure that I ask them the questions before they have to get out of here. So 2 questions. Number one, you guys are self-funded. And so without, I don't want to dig too far into your pockets, but how much of an investment would you say, not just in, we can't even quantify the sweat equity and the time, right? But you guys have bootstrapped this thing to make it. How big of an investment was that in terms of, okay, well, we can't afford this family vacation because we're trying to build this thing. We can't afford, all right, well, maybe we're going to wait to upgrade the family car because we're doing this thing. You know what I mean? How big an investment was that for you guys?
Man, it's a sacrifice, man. Like having the conversations with our spouses of what we're doing. And I mean, obviously we've had nothing but support from everybody, but we 100% self-fund in this, right? As I said, like in the business world, I've worked for companies where we've raised a lot of money, and the minute you start raising capital from people, right, you got to give up a lot of what your baby's worth is to somebody else. And we just weren't ready to do that when we were coming up with the idea. That's part of the reason, John, why it took us 3 years, right? We didn't have the money to just, take a couple $100,000 and just pump it into this, right? You can imagine these aren't cheap to make, right? Our profit margin is pretty slim, and we haven't sold a ton of units. So everything we've done has really been around, I wouldn't say that it's had a negative impact on the family. Like, we've done a really good job spreading it out, but we also went, I would say, the deepest route possible, right? We went through the patent search. We went through the patent. We've gotten trademarks on all of our names, setting up our webpage, setting up our website, and getting everything set up. So, I mean, it's been the sweat equity there has been a lot. And I would actually give Matt kudos on a lot of that stuff, because he comes from the design world and has, come up with a lot of the product naming and ideas and things and how we set that up. But it's not easy, man. Like you're putting your own money into something, and you have such a belief in it, and you run into hiccups and frustrations and delays and other kinds of things that just kind of beat you down. But we've just continued to push through, man. And it's been great. And obviously, man, give your feedback from your side too.
I mean, exactly. No, you covered it quite nicely. I mean, if you're coming out of pocket, I guess if you don't have enough to, obviously, the bigger production run you go with, it's going to be cheaper. Right. And so the patent costs and all that was an upfront cost. And then being a new business, you can't go to the Small Business Administration and get a loan. You gotta actually have a business and have a little bit of momentum before they'll consider you. And then going for private equity, I mean, you're going to give up a good chunk of your company. So we decided to take our time, which worked out in the end. It actually, with the other partners involved, but I mean, it's up there. It is beyond the 6 figures, So.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know it's significant because, I mean, even for Garage Gym Life, I happen to have in my head, I know some of what I spent on it, like tangible money that I've spent for what people think is a free thing. Oh, YouTube is free, so it must be free. I'm like, yeah, it's free unless you want to do it right. Yeah. Then it starts to cost money. So the question that I had in my head that was triggered by Matt because he's in the UK is, do you guys ship overseas, or do you have like a mechanism in place for because you have fulfillment? So do you guys ship overseas to England or wherever else somebody might be based?
100%.
100%. Yeah. There's a small problem there, John. Unfortunately, the United States made this decision a long time ago to be on the imperial system of measurement and oversees their metric, right? And the two don't line up, right? And when you're talking about metal on metal, we've actually had a lot of interest come out of the UK for new cups. And we've gotten into the millimeter discussion of measurements with our manufacturer. Right. Like, the goal for us, and we can talk about this more from a long-term perspective, is we want to make these for every cage manufacturer that there is, right? 100%. In every size. And we can do that, right? We have specs on all the different sizes that we need to do, but then it becomes the one-off, and we got to get the production facility and enough orders going to where our manufacturer is willing to make products to fit right at a specific time and ship them off. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but we're pretty excited for when that happens.
Yep.
So here I come with what a solution might be for you. Have you thought about just making spacers to make up the difference?
Well, of course, there was that link that you
hold on a second. Hold on. I knew this was going to happen. I knew I was going to get some slander in the chat. Okay, look, man. Matt, for you guys who don't know, Matt is still wounded because they lost to us twice. All right, he's English, and they lost us twice. Every time they fought against the United States, we've whipped him and sent him home. Literally, we whipped him and kicked him out of our country. And so he always comes with the bitterness. He says America needs to join the future and use metric. And I'm going to say, you don't. The world adapts to the winner. We don't adapt to the we don't adapt to second place. The second place adapts to us, Matt.
Man, there's a really good Saturday Night Live skit on our founding fathers creating the imperial system. Man, it's pretty good. You should watch it.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah,
but go ahead. You were saying about and then we also have a question from Jake, Garage Gym Experiment as well in the chat. I'm gonna throw that out at you guys as well. But you were talking about the spacer idea.
Yeah, well, because we prototyped with this 3x3 rack, we knew that there's 2x3, there's 3x2, there's 2x2, and we knew probably most common, and we don't have access to like a lot of wide scale data from the entire industry. I look forward to penetrating more into insights on what's really most common out there, and I think that'll happen with partnerships as they arrive. But we just decided to go with 3x3 as the gusset size, and then we found a person on Etsy, actually nearby in Texas, a city called Stream, I think, something like that, and he makes spacers for the gusset. So a 3x3 gusset can actually fit a 2x3 rack, something like this. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, I've got some of that downstairs. I got it off of Etsy as well. That's where I got the idea. I was like, well, why not just make
like
spacers?
This right here?
Yeah,
and it just slides down the side. Anyway, so we've given some spacers thoughts, and I mean they work really well. We bought a post from Rogue, and we were able to test it, and it does work well and it's stable. But I mean, I don't know. We don't know, as far as the market goes, we don't know how they'd respond to that. And so we've kind of held back on.
Well, let's ask one of them.
Yeah,
Matt, stop being bitter and answer my question. Are you okay with using spacers for something like that, for a product, if it's not just to make up the difference between metric and imperial? So if you're he's at work right now, so don't get in trouble for me, Matt. But if you are able to answer, go ahead and throw that in the chat, because that actually is something that is important. Is like, how does somebody feel about the idea of using spacers? Because it doesn't bother me at all. Like I said, I've got spacers downstairs I use. All I care about is that it can handle the load. That's like the biggest thing.
So John, that's a really good point, right? So and this is something that Matt has always joked with me about, right? Because my background, I've been a career underwriter in the insurance space for the last 20 plus years. And for me, I'm all about safety, right? When we were doing the drop test and the 1,000 pounds, we put the U cups at the bottom of the rack when we did our drop test. Cause I'm like, if this fails, I don't want it being, super high. And I'm like, there's no way it'll hold 800 pounds. I don't care what the engineer said. And then like just doing drop tests and things for me, we've designed U cups, and U cups themselves have been manufactured to fit a specific rack size and hold that weight. Right. The consumer can put the spacers in there. I've always kind of pushed back a little. I've never felt super comfortable about us selling because I've never tested those. We've never engineered those. I don't know how that person that's selling that spacer actually built that. Right. So I've kind of left it on, if the consumer wants to buy a pair of U cups and they want to go out and get spacers, great. But we've never actually offered them through our site or offered them with them because it's hard, right? I don't want to take the liability of testing those, making sure that they work, that they fit right. That becomes, again, man, like you said, everybody comes up with their own little hacks, and you see people do some crazy, crazy stuff in their gym, right? So for me, it's somebody wants to do it, awesome. But for us, it's just better for us to have, like, when you go to our webpage, you see we have all the sizes there. We just don't have stock of them yet because we've tried to account for every size rack that we possibly can to build a suite and build an actual U cup to fit that specific rack.
Okay. So we're getting some answers in the chat from people. So first of all, Matt said, yes, he'd be fine using spacers as long as it's still functional. And then the legendary Porter Phys Ed, Matthew Porter, who is himself a design genius, he says he uses spacers all the time. So I think that, So I mean, you just have to basically check and see, like, well, okay, are these going to be fine for the load to handle the load? Yeah. And then Jake from Garage Gym Radio, Garage Gym Experiment, HomeGymCon, said he wants to know, do you guys have any other products in the works?
Well, I would say if anything, we have one, right? We have a prototype that we built for a calf raise block to go with it, but right now it's just been the U cups that we.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's also a pad for doing seated, like heavy seated calf raises where the U cup keeps the the bar in a vertical plane of motion, but the right design of a pad won't put strain as you because you have to elevate your toes. And then you have to kind of scoot under the bar, and it's a little bit tricky unless you have a good pad that's designed for that motion of getting underneath there and then doing a seated calf raise. But we've been playing around with an idea on that, and that's in the works.
Yep. Yeah, the hardest part, man, is Matt and I both have full-time jobs, right? U4C
that's the dream to work on this.
The dream is to be 100% on this at some point, right? And come up with all kinds of ideas. Because now, we've learned so much, right? Like we have a manufacturing company, we have a team of engineers that we have access to, right? We have design people that can help us with this. We have a national law firm that does all of our patent stuff and does all of our trademarks and whatnot. So when we have that next idea, we're ready to go for it. But the time in the gym to come up with those ideas hasn't been there for us. Otherwise, I think we'd probably have a couple more things in the tank.
But that's what HomeGymCon's about. I mean, shaking hands and meeting people and seeing what ideas are going to be out there.
Ideas out there, man.
I can't believe it.
And making connections, because you never know. Somebody might be like, "Hey, I can make these things, these add-ons for your products."
Exactly.
And then there's some synergy there. And you're like, okay, well, hey, you guys work out however it works out.
Yeah. We can't wait. I mean, HomeGymCon is
it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately for you, guess who's coming up next? As Jake is going
to
with a HomeGymCon update. Look at that. But before you guys get out of here, man, I appreciate your time. And I've already got the your Instagram handle at U4C Fitness on Instagram. And then your website is u4cfitness.com. I want everybody to check that out. I'm also putting those links in the description for the video. Real quick, is there anywhere else that people can follow you if they want to keep up with your journey or if they want to get in touch with you guys?
Just U4C. U4C, the name came from U cups for calves, and so we just called it U4C Fitness. And that being our flagship product, I guess looking into the future there might be more, but so just U4C Fitness, either on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram.
And we got our contact info on the webpage if anybody wants to reach out. Man, we love talking to people. We found out about Jake through a local home gym building company.
Yeah, here in Austin.
Sent us a text and was like, "Man, this product's great. Y'all need to check this out. You have to be at this event." And sent us a link to Home Gym. We were like, "Holy cow, we got it!" And and Jake, obviously, you were awesome, dude, getting back to us super quick and helping us get a booth set up and everything else. We're pumped to just start meeting with people from the industry, getting this out there, and just seeing what other people are working on. Man, that's one of the things I've enjoyed most in the fitness space is. There's such a camaraderie of guys that have come up with these products and come up with things, and John, even doing what you're doing, podcasts, and having guys like Matt and I come on, man. It's such an awesome community, and this is our first time to actually get out there and rub elbows with people, which is going to be a lot of fun for us. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, well, guys, man, I really appreciate you guys being here, and we're definitely going to have you guys on again. In fact, at HomeGymCon, I'll be broadcasting live, so I invite you guys to swing by. If you're up early enough to swing on by, I'll be down in one of the conference rooms broadcasting the show live. You guys are welcome to come on by. All right. So,
and John, we want to get you on a pair of these, man, to get your.
I'm always down to try stuff.
We're gonna ship you a set, man. We're gonna ship you a set for your house, for your gym, and whatever size you got.
Nice.
You have to use the adapters, but that let us know how you feel about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, John.
All right, and that was Mike and Matt from U4C Fitness. They've got an awesome product for doing standing calf raises with a bar. And let's see, we got a lot of moving parts now, so I'm gonna jump right into our next segment, which is news and other things. All right, so it's time for news and other things. We're going to go real quick because I've got Jake coming up at 7:05. So we want to make sure that we do not that we don't miss out on that. So first news item, I think is just so normally I just delete this. This is an email I got, right? And normally I just delete stuff like this, but I just think it's funny. I want you guys to see like what happens in my life. All right. So so I'm just gonna read this email and I'll make changes where I need to for the sake of not being sued. So it says, "Hey, Garage Gym Life. Hope you're all doing good. This is John Smith," and that's not his real name, from Brand X, not the real name of the brand. All right. "This is John Smith from Brand X. We kindly request a collaboration. Our signature hair product, okay, a cornerstone of our innovation, infuses each product with the power to protect and perfect. Drawing inspiration from the zero damage philosophy, our technology delivers extraordinary results. Ultra shiny, ultra smooth, ultra speedy, and ultra smart styling that empowers users to showcase their authentic beauty and versatility without compromising their hair's health." Hair, okay. "We will be giving away," so at this point I'm thinking, okay, that's great. Why are you telling me? You know, because if you've never seen me and you're just listening to this, you've never seen what I look like for some reason, hair is not my department, okay? So it says, "We'll be giving away a free high-speed hair dryer or a free hair dryer brush," whatever that is, "in hopes you will experience and demonstrate our anti-frizz and zero damage philosophy." Wow. Okay, so they're gonna give me a free hair dryer, I guess for my eyebrows, so I can demonstrate anti-frizzing on my eyebrows, I guess, or a hair dryer brush, whatever that is, once I figure out what that is. So there's no mention of money, just a free hair dryer or hair dryer brush in exchange for me spending an hour of my time to write a script, set up the cameras, shoot the video, break down the equipment, edit the video, create a thumbnail, research what's good for search engine optimization, promote the video after it's published so people actually see the video. And God forbid if they decide, you know, I got something wrong about the product, like a price or something, so then I have to reshoot part of the video. All that, you're talking about like 6-7 hours of work in exchange for a hair dryer or a hair dryer brush. So I'm just like, who thought I was a good fit for a hair product? Oh, Matt, there you go. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna have some silky smooth eyebrows, man. You'll be amazed at how good my eyebrows are about to look if I decide, man, I'm not doing this. Like, who? That is the kind of stuff I'm talking. Originally I said, well, maybe this is spam, because they do have spam out there that'll try to get influencers, and it is a thing. But I just saw it. I was like, are you serious? Hair? A hair product? Me? Maybe it's for my I got hair on my forearms. Maybe it's for that. Can you imagine if I did a video of me like blow drying my forearms? Maybe I should get a wig. Put a wig on and have myself. I got a fan in the gym. I just stand in front of the fan in the gym and just blowing my hair and looking majestic in front of the squat rack, so I can demonstrate this. Come on, man. Like, seriously. All right. I think that's the most ridiculous thing. Yeah, my eyebrow game will be on point. That's right, Matt. Hey, don't you underestimate my eyebrow game. Another article. This came from Health Day, and it says, apparently a bicycle built for two could be a positive prescription for Parkinson's patients. That's a lot of P's right there, a lot of alliteration. And their caregivers. So basically what they have apparently is a stationary bike that you can use in the home. So, and this is, I thought was important, if you've got like a parent or something and you're a caregiver for a relative who's got Parkinson's, you can get this stationary bike for in the house. You help them get on the bike, and it's got 2 seats. So you get on it with them, and I guess you would be behind them, and you'd be on your seat behind them, and they're in their seat, and you're both pedaling. But apparently it helps you out. It helps them out, I'm sorry, with improved mobility and brain cognition, and also faster walking speed. So, and then of course the people who are on, like the caregivers, actually they get to work out too. So they're going to get some benefits. So that's really cool. And now the final news item, I thought, you know, this one also deserves some notice and attention. Okay. This was literally, I can't believe this is on PR Newswire, but whatever. March 21st, which is yesterday, PR Newswire reported that Stir, the leading dating app for single parents, which I've never heard of because I've been happily married for 20 years, so I've never heard of this, okay? I've been happily married longer than Rogue Fitness has been in existence as a brand, but whatever. So Stir, which is apparently the leading dating app for single parents, has joined forces with Therabody, a company I have heard of because I got some of their products here, to combat. I hope you're not ready for this. They have joined forces to combat single parent back pain. Now we're gonna keep this clean, okay? But apparently, and I'm just gonna read what it says. They're providing single parents with much needed relief from back pain with tools, tips, support, and encouragement to get back out there. Apparently, studies, and I don't know who's running these studies, but studies show that single parents are significantly more likely to suffer from back pain and back injuries than non-single parents. And this is apparently because single Okay. I'm gonna be serious. Because single parents are apparently doing double duty because they're doing the full load of they're lifting the kids by themselves, they're folding the strollers by themselves, they're carrying armfuls of toys and all these other tasks that, if you've got you're married, y'all can divide up. So I'll carry the stroller, you carry the kids, I'll carry the toys, you carry the stroller. You can cooperate, but when you're by yourself as a single parent, it's all on you. And so they're finding that single parents are starting to have a lot of back pain. And so the partnership, which kicked off yesterday on something I never knew existed either. Apparently there's National Single Parents Day, whatever. And the partnership includes an exclusive Therabody product discount for anybody who's a member of this single parent dating app. And then you get educational video content from Dr. Alex Vandershelden, whose name sounds completely made up. But apparently Dr. Alex Vandershelden is not only a chiropractor, but he's a social media sensation. And he's here to help you if you are a single parent and your back hurts. So if you're a single parent out there and your back is hurting as we speak, there you go. You're welcome. There you go. You're welcome. I'm glad I could help you with that. So that's why you guys come here, for news like that, okay? News like that. That's the kind of news that you could take with you to work and share with everybody. Like maybe there's a single parent and you see, hey, you look like your back hurts. You need to get on. Are you on Stir? You need to get on Stir and get you a discount on Therabody because Dr. Alex Vandershelden has got just what you need so your low back won't hurt anymore. All right, so now I told you guys we had another segment. This is a brand new segment, and then we're going to be bringing Jake in after this segment is over. And this segment is called 5 Minutes of Fitness Tech. So let's jump right into it right now. Okay, so we got a new segment that I'm excited to debut. It's called 5 Minutes of Fitness Tech. And it also coincides with the first ever appearance on the podcast of the woman who shares my life. That's right, my wife. Show your love. Well, don't show your love. Hold up. I'm jealous. I'm the jealous type. Let's just clap. Just clap.
Good morning.
Hey, baby. Welcome to the show. Can you talk just a little bit louder? There you go, right there. Boom. There you go. Pretend you're yelling at one of the kids.
At you? Okay.
No, we don't do that. We don't do that. But so it's 5 minutes of fitness tech, and I know you're trying to get your workout going so you can get your day going. So I'm not going to take a lot of your time. But you had an app that you've been trying. So tell me all about it. What's the app called?
It's called Ladder.
Okay.
And so I've seen it in my FYPs and also in TikTok as well as on YouTube. And so I decided, let me give it a try. I had used another app for quite some time, the Sweat app. And then also BurnFit. And so I decided, let me go ahead and try Ladder. And so you do like a Q&A to kind of assess where you are in skill level. And then they go ahead and they make suggestions of coaches. So I've actually decided to start doing the Team Iconic workout. This would be workout number 4 for me. And
is this so it's not just a cardio app. It's not like Peloton,
No.
It's just cardio, but this is lifting. Or is it lifting? Is it lifting and cardio? Does it have stretching?
It's got a combination. So one I can see, because I tend to like to explore. when it comes down to tech. If it has any kind of bells or whistles to it and it's not straight to it, John gives it to me for me to explore. So I've explored the app, and it has a combination. They have kettlebell workouts. So there's actually a coach that does strictly on kettlebells. They have coaches that are doing like mobility as well as hybrid fitness, CrossFit style. I've seen one where it incorporates conditioning, like for running or for or like ultra athletes in a way. So I haven't really gotten to explore those, like actually try those workouts. I've committed to do Team Iconic for at least 6 weeks to just kind of see a difference. And then I'll probably start exploring some of the others. I think the
Okay, how much does the app cost?
So I'm in my first week. First week is free. And then I have seen that with Apple, they do offer two types of memberships. Monthly membership is $29.99. And then a yearly membership, if you just go ahead and buy it out straight up for the year, it's $179 annually for the membership.
Okay, do they give you like some apps will give you a discounted rate if you're basically re-upping, or is it just, as far as you know, is it the same rate? Is that annual rate going to be the same every time you have to renew?
That I do not know. It's still relatively new.
Okay.
If this goes well, like if I really, really like it, then I may go ahead and decide to do a monthly. But at the same time, I'll look in the App Store to see if they offer any other memberships besides the annual. Because sometimes in the App Store they may offer like a 6-month or a 3-month, membership. But I'll take a look and see.
Okay, and you've done Sweat, you've done Burn Fit, you've done a couple other ones. How does this one compare? I know it's the first week, but how does this one compare to those so far?
I really like it because you have camaraderie within the team. So you have, like, Monday, they call it the roll call. So everybody has, you do the workout, you post in there that you've done your roll call. They show your mobility. You have the coach giving you cues. There's actually like a 10-second like ping or like an alert, let you know you're at 10 seconds, and then you have another alert that round is done. And then it also counts like your rest periods. It also gives you the prompt that if you need to give you a little bit more prep time, you can click that button to give you. So if you're going from one move to another, and you may need to set up weight, or you need to change from being like in a rack to maybe a functional trainer, you can add a little bit more prep time so you can get set up and then be able to continue on.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the link for this app in the description for the video. But it's just for anybody who's watching. It's called Ladder. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so you can get it in the App Store as Ladder. Is there a website? Is it like ladder.com or whatever?
There is a website, and there's actually advertisement for the website in the app. But because I have the app, I just went straight to the workout.
I'm just making sure that people go to ladder.com. They don't see like step ladders.
Or anything else inappropriate.
Yeah.
There is a web link, and I'll send that to you.
Okay, so we'll put the website link in the description for this video, so anybody who's interested in checking it out. All right, cool. That was 5 minutes of fitness tech. I know the pre-workout is flowing through your veins, so I'll let you get to your workout, and we will see you next week on 5 minutes of fitness tech.
All right, see you then. Have a great one, guys.
See you. All right, there you go. 5 minutes of fitness tech, featuring my wife. Now you guys know who puts up with me all the time, and all my shenanigans. We've got Jake. He's kind of sitting on deck here. Let me just check out the chat real quick, make sure I didn't miss anything. So, Tattooed Saying says that my man Dr. Alex Vander, I forgot his name that fast, but whatever. He's a Bond villain. Said he bets he's got a cheek scar and a white cat. Good morning to Home Gym Tech, my guy. All right, see here, Carlos. He thinks it's a scam. Carlos, I'm telling you, Dr. Alex is gonna get that low back pain for single parents. Jake, are you ready to go? Are you ready? As soon as I get a thumbs up from Jake, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll add him to the. Okay, good to go. He just gave me a thumbs up. All right, well then let's get this theme going here. Jake Jaworski, the man himself. Welcome.
Good morning.
Yeah, you didn't know you had theme music, did you?
No, that was a nice surprise.
All right. Is it cold where you are? He's all bundled up and everything. What's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the garage and it's like 30 degrees outside. So it's maybe 50 in here, but I've got a heater going. So by the end of this, and I'm drinking my pre-workout.
Oh yeah.
So by the end of this, the garage will be nice and good to go for a workout.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's about 40 degrees too cold. 40 degrees colder than I like. All right, so let's just jump right into this because you got pre-workout in your veins. I don't want to slow you down.
No hurry.
So, describe your excitement level for HomeGymCon as we're going into year number 2 compared to how you felt going into the first year of HomeGymCon.
My excitement level, I would say, is similar, or I don't know, maybe a little bit higher. Both years, very, very excited for the event. I think last year there was a lot of like, what's this going to be? And like there was still, a month out at this time last year, it was still a very like, we need to get a lot of things to work to make this happen. So your
stress level basically was higher. Is it at least your stress level lower this time around, or is it worse because now you've set the expectation?
Yeah, I think my stress level is probably about the same. But I mean, it's a good problem to have. Yeah, just different not problems, but different things you're working on from 1 year to the next. Like last year, it was scrambling to try and get more vendors and just kind of figure out how to do this event thing. And then this year, it's like let's make sure that it's quite a bit larger. So let's make sure everything flows smoothly and everybody's happy. So still like really want to make sure there's enough people for the vendors, want to make sure the vendors are able to get in and out, make sure they have a great time and like get everything out of it. So like, and then with the event, so both years, like, if you're thinking about just like think about you going to a random show. Like you don't make that. A lot of people don't make that decision until like a week or 2 out. So, I mean, and then the same thing goes for a lot of the vendors. They may sign up like 7-8 months ago, but they don't really start digging into what they need to do until the last month or so. So now everybody's kind of thinking about what they want to do for their booths. They have ideas. The excitement level that when you sign up, you're really excited, then you kind of forget about it. And then you get excited again as the event gets closer. A lot of the vendors are showing a ton of excitement right now, which is like awesome. So yes, there's some stress, but there's also like everybody is starting to really pick up the pace and get excited. So yeah.
I mean, so if I go, and everybody, you guys, if you're watching, you'll be able to see it, to follow at HomeGymCon on Instagram, because this is where you can keep up with what's going on, some of the posts that people are making as they tag HomeGymCon. And let me go ahead and I'll show people some of the stuff that you have on there. So you guys have awards, best overall booth, most improved booth, rookie of the year. I assume that's like a vendor that's never been there before.
Right.
That'll be like rookie of the year, the top competition supporter, top product release, and top HomeGymCon contributor. So you guys got a ton of things that I can just see from last year to this year. It's really leveled up. It's not twice as good. In my opinion, you've 10x'd because you've got more stuff. But was that like a result of feedback, or you just going back and saying, you know what, I wish I had this when we did it, the first time we did it. I wish I had this available, or oh, it would have been cool to have this thing, or whatever. So how much of that played a role into coming up with the new ideas? And I'm going to just be going through as you're talking, showing some of the stuff that vendors have so people can tell if they're watching. And if you're just listening to this, coming back and check out the replay, I'll have timestamps in so you'll be able to check out some of the stuff that vendors are putting there. But how did you go about the process of just improving it and adding on to what you did last year?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just general feedback. Like, hey, I think some sort of awards would be really nice or really, really fun. A couple vendors mentioned that. I know the specifically Sierra Cleva did, and she and that it really stood out to me because like there's just like with this event, there's so many people that want to help. They want to get involved. They want to show support. So really, that's been very key in trying to add certain elements to make this better than last year. And then also just in general, like last year, we put this event together in like 6 months. Whereas this year, not only did we have 1 year prior experience, but we were able to have a full year of kind of like figuring out what's the best way to do this. And there's certainly plenty of ideas that we had that weren't feasible. So we tried to stick with, you try and be crafty and figure out the ones that you can do. Like, for example, like these awards, like that's an easy way to make sure that it's fun, and it's a way to like give kudos to certain companies, and like companies help make that easy. So like Sierra mentioned, like, hey, we'd love to help present the awards. We'd love to help organize the dinners. And Nate from Executive Fit was like, hey, I'd love to help create the plaques or whatever. So like there's a lot of like little things like that people just were eager to help. So yeah, I mean, it's really just trying to improve every day kind of mindset.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, let me ask you this about the vendors. Was it easier to attract vendors now that you had, let's call it tangible data to show them about how much interest there is for something like this in the home gym community? Because when you first reach out to them, it's kind of nebulous. You're like, oh yeah, I want to get a bunch of home gym owners together. And a lot of vendors don't really understand. Well, it's obvious they don't really understand the home gym community to a certain extent, but like they don't understand the passion that a lot of home gym owners have to just look at equipment. There's no bodybuilders flexing. There's no, we're not going to be standing in line for an hour to shake somebody's hand, but like, so you really want to come to this thing and just look at equipment. So is it easier to convince vendors that this is a good fit for them? Now you've got some tangible data to show them.
Yeah, I think it was very easy to get vendors right away after the event. I think a lot of them they saw how year one went. We had, I think, a little under 30 vendors, maybe 30, and then a few hundred people came out to the show. But literally everyone loved it. Like they had a great time. I think like the biggest thing that helped me get more vendors like right away was simply like 2/3 signed up within like the first week or two for a whole year out, which I think is pretty crazy. So it was easier to go to companies like Rogue and Titan and anybody else and just say, hey, all of these companies signed back up, you want in. So that definitely helped. There was also kind of a limited amount of space to where we couldn't just, you couldn't necessarily make the decision today. So so that definitely helped. And I think social media helped. So, we had influencers like yourselves. I don't know if you want to call yourself an influencer or not, but it's the worst, right?
Yeah. I'm like, what?
Yeah. We had like content creators, and they did a lot. They were able to get a ton of content that stretched for like months.
Right.
And also it's not even just about the content creators. It's about the types of people that go to the show, and the types of people that went to the show made Instagram posts. And it's the type, and they also have like dedicated home gym pages and things like that. And it really spread the word pretty well. There was too many comments that were like, oh, I wish I would have heard of that. I would have gone. That I was like, oh, darn. But I think that like really just the I don't want to say like quality of people, but like it really just was the perfect audience for the companies that were there was at the first year of the show. So I think that's ultimately why more people wanted to sign on. And then a number of companies have also like reached out, and I've chatted with them about this. Like they have experience with going to conventions. It's really about being a part of the community year after year after year after year. That's where you get your value. That's where you establish a really solid foundation. People are excited to come see you every year. Like the perfect example is Surplus Strength having this deadlift party. Like there's such a great foundation for them to do this year after year after year, and so I think it's just and it also just shows who the vendors are. They want to be a part of this community, and honestly, this is probably the best way to do that, to come to this event with the most passionate group.
Right. And it's I know that there's also some trepidation. Some of the things before I go any further, so we have Jake Jaworski here. Jake is the founder of HomeGymCon, and also Garage Gym Experiment on Instagram, and Garage Gym Radio YouTube channel. So you guys make sure you guys are following all of that. So follow HomeGymCon, check out Garage Gym Experiment. He's got a pretty good newsletter, but he's giving us an update right now about HomeGymCon. So if you guys are in the chat and you have questions, go ahead and put your questions in the chat. I know that there's a Discord and you see a ton of questions in there, but this is an easy way. The guy's standing right here. So just ask your questions now. And if you're watching this on replay, I know several people have reached out to me and said, yeah, I'll watch it on replay for whatever reason. Go ahead and you can put your questions in the comments. So the live chat obviously won't be accessible to you if you're consuming this on replay, but put your questions in the comments and I'll make sure that those questions get to Jake so he can answer them for you. So I'm open to that as well. But anyway, so back to what I was saying is some of the things that never occurred to me as somebody who's going to go to it and who's going to be covering it are things that vendors brought up and people who are attending brought up. So like, for example, vendors were concerned about other vendors copying their idea. Well, if I have my product and, it's especially if it's like a one-off product, I'm concerned if I show up to this thing, people will see the product and discover it. But guess who else is going to see it and discover it? All the other vendors in the room are going to see it and they'll copy me, I understand it. I get it. And then you also had people who are like, well, there's some concerns about French lick. I mean, the same thing I said to you when you told me where it's going to be. And I'm like, oh, so is Larry Bird going to be there? Because that's the home of Larry Bird. But for me, it's one of the things like when you get there, then it's like, oh, okay, I get it now. And it's that's like the frustrating thing for me as a content creator, because it's like, it's one of the things like, man, you just had to be there. I can't explain to you how cool it was. I can try, and I'm consider myself, pretty good with the English language, but you really can't get the effect of this feeling of being there and enjoying the moment and immersing yourself in something you didn't even realize you needed until you get there, you're like, oh man, this is just what I needed. So how much of that do you think is going to grow as more people go? You know what I mean? So as more people come this year than went last year, they get the feeling, and then that just kind of exponentially spreads out as they're encouraging people, man, you gotta go, you know, that word of mouth.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, I think I think that's already bled into this year. So we already have quite a bit more people coming this year versus last year. And I think there's also quite a bit more people where it's on their radar to come next year. So I absolutely think that people have helped spread the word. I don't know exactly. I don't know if there's anything else more to say than yes, that's happening.
Yeah. So we're starting to get questions in the chat. So I'll go ahead and I'll read the first one. The first one is from U4C Fitness, and this will be their first year at HomeGymCon. And they said, "Hey Jake, how are the networking dinners going to be set up? Do you have anything to share on that?"
Yeah. So their dinners. So I'll just give a quick rundown of the dinners. So the first night is at the Pete Dye Pavilion, which is one of the nicest golf courses you'll ever see. It's in like a little setup at the top of a hill, and it oversees this beautiful golf course. We take trolleys to both of the places for both nights. But last year it was this is one of those things where we were making an improvement. And people asked, I think people just wanted to hear more from others. So we're setting up. So the dinners, first of all, are buffet style. They are very good quality dinners. I need to get that menu out to the world because I just decided on the menu. But good quality dinners.
Nobody comes for the food, man. We come for the speech that you give because we know how much you love giving speeches.
I mean, give me a few drinks and I'll give a speech. But yeah, you'll have a couple drink tickets. You can, if you want to have a few drinks with your peers or fellow home gym enthusiasts, it's a good time. And then this year we're adding awards to both nights. So we're going to do 3 awards on Friday and then 3 awards on Saturday. And in between, we are hoping to set up maybe if somebody wants to say something or has some words of wisdom, I'll certainly say a few things. And I John, you mentioned I don't like. I'm not like a public speaker, but I love to say thank you to everybody in front of everybody. Like it's a great honor. So I mean, I'll say some words. Hopefully, we'll get a few people who also wants to say something to a crowd. So, and then as far as like who goes to the dinners, so there are the premium ticket purchasers. They have access to both dinners, and there are 50 of them. We've sold, I think there are 4 left. So if you want the premium ticket, you're going to have to sign up now. But I mean, and then the vendors that choose to sign up. So right now.
Okay, so hold on. So those tickets are available at homegymcon.com, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And there's
because I know there was a link on Instagram in the bio, but you can just skip past all that. Just go straight to homegymcon.com. The link is in the description for the video. It's going across the screen right now. Just go there, and you better hurry up if you want to get that. And I will say, I was gonna say this a little bit later, but like people have to think about what's in French Lick, and why am I going to this? And I'll just say that I'll just show you guys what the resort looks like where we'll be staying, because we pulled up to it and I was like, are we at the right place? I was like, there's no way this is the place, but it legitimately is. This is the HomeGymCon location. It's amazing, and part of the reason why it's so cool is I don't know if those people will be there, but it's so amazing is because there's nothing in French Lick. So the resort has to have everything. So it's got a spa. So if you want to bring family with you, you're like, man, my wife isn't trying to be at this home gym equipment event. Well, she could be at the spa all day. I'm sure she's down for that. So while you're looking at equipment, she's at the spa. She has no idea how much money you're spending on bars because she's getting a foot massage and a manicure. She doesn't care at all. So it's great. I mean, I wish I had a video of the golf course that you mentioned, but that golf course, I don't even play golf. It just looked like a lot of grass. And it was like, I said, that is probably I was jealous. I wish my lawn looked like that grass, man. It was like amazing. So if you are on the fence because you're like, well, I don't want to go to French Lick for this, what's there to do in French Lick? That should be the furthest thing from your mind. I took my daughter was there with me. She was 7. And we played Space Invaders. That was her first time ever playing an actual arcade video game. That was just like one of those moments I couldn't even plan for. She had a great time. She was playing on the swing sesh booth with all the other kids. And our kids were free, right?
Oh, yeah. Kids are free. Under 14.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, it is truly a family event with stuff to do for the entire family, because there's also stuff that you can do after the event is over, like because they have like cabins and different things you can do at the resort as well, right?
Yeah, and like you said, there's games downstairs. There's a bowling alley. There's arcade. There's a water park across the street. There is it's just in general a very family friendly place.
There's horseback riding. I knew there was something else.
There's horseback riding.
Yeah.
There's like places to go shoot skis. So
yeah. All right. So we got another question. So Kettlebell Carlos says he works with Adex. He was talking to Donnie. Don's going to be coming up next. They make Adex Clubs and Maces. And he says, we definitely want to be there. We could do a Mace 360 contest, a club swing to clean contest, and just have the opportunity to meet other companies. I think it's great. It's a great venue for that because we've actually streamed some of the Mace competitions, and it doesn't require a ton of space. You just need space for 3 people side by side, just in a room for them to not hit each other. And it's very entertaining. And I think it would be something that would set it apart, because typically when you go to events like the Arnold, you don't get to see competitions like Mace training, not Mace training, but Mace competitions, club competitions, things like that. Even though those are interesting and they're kind of high energy too, because you get the crowd behind you. And it's like, hey, keep going, because they're doing like 200, 300, 400, 500 swings. And it becomes like a marathon, like who can handle it, because like their palms start to get torn. And he's like, well, who can handle the pain? Who can keep going? So it's really, really fun. And it's a nice little crowd event that anybody can get into. It's like the rules aren't super complicated to understand. So I think it's one of those great, I wouldn't necessarily say it's crowd participation, but it's the crowd can get behind it. It's good to watch. So I think that's cool. And they said that they will definitely budget for the event next year. So there you go. You just got a vendor within the last 20 minutes. Look at that. We're growing already. Let me ask you another thing too. We talked a little bit about this, but describe the groups. Like, nothing is for everybody. We're talking about how great it was, but there are some people who are going to get more out of it than others. So who would you say HomeGymCon is the perfect fit for? Who's going to get the most out of this event?
I mean, I think the people that get the most out of the event is not necessarily it's those that want to connect with other people within this community. So whether you are somebody that works in this industry, or you are passionate about your home gym, or just looking to connect with like-minded people, those are the ones that get the most out of it. So it's the people that, maybe you're on the Discord, or you're on Home Gym Reddit, or you post about it on social media, or you just like have general, you chat with people who work, or who are also live the like kind of home gym lifestyle. I think those are the ones that get the most out of it, especially if a lot of our communication throughout the year is online. So if you can meet some of these people once a year, every year, it's something that you can look forward to. Or if you're somebody that wants to get in this community, like you obviously don't have to go to this event to get into this community or learn from others, but this is again probably the best way to do that. So I think those are the ones that get the most out of it. I think if you are, it's a totally different crew than I've gone to the Arnold many years because it's just a few hours away from me, and it's just a totally different crew that goes than the Arnold. Arnold is, really gym bros, and sure, maybe some of us that go to HomeGymCon are gym bros, but it's a very gym bro-y crowd.
There's a lot of fake tan. There's a lot of fake tan, spray on tan in the building. Let's just say it like that.
Yeah,
you see some strange things. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, okay, we did have a red Power Ranger at HomeGymCon. I got to back up a little bit and not put too much pressure on them. So yes, at the Arnold, you do see people dressed up in costumes. We did have the red Power Ranger deadlifting at HomeGymCon.
Yes.
But it's like a family. Again, you can bring your kids, because at the Arnold, you can bring your kids, but it's so crowded that a lot of people are like, don't leave your strollers at home. Maybe you don't want to have a bunch of kids there. But you told me that you were going to at some point limit the attendance to preserve the experience for the people who go. Now, let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a cap that we probably won't hit, but yeah, that is definitely part of all of this. I think part of the reason last year everybody had such a great time last year was that you could pretty much keep a free flow throughout without ever having to be in a line or feel like you're crowded. Even the deadlift party, I mean, you definitely had shoulder space. Whereas in the Arnold, if you're going to the Strength Co deadlift party, which is a totally different type of awesome, you're trying to look over people. And so I think that's definitely part of it. As far as vendors, it's been very important to keep the right vendors. So I didn't want an event where it's half supplement companies. So I've actually had a lot of supplement companies reach out and with interest in being in this event, and I'm sorry, we already have our one that supported us in year one, and as it grows in the future, we'll have more than one. But we just want it to be, and we just wanted it to be gym equipment focused. So, and that's what makes it look so good. So when you're down there, it looks amazing because it's all gym equipment rather than only half being gym equipment. So yeah, that goes into part of it. That's one reason why French Lick has been a great location for the first few years, because I hate to say this out loud, but it weeds out those that are just coming in for free supplements and trying to
casuals.
The casuals. There's no, there aren't any casuals. You have to
you got to
drive
there,
probably at least an hour. So that's made the overall quality good, and I think that will be similar this year. And then also just vendors, if you're at the Arnold, there's also these random ones like Cabela's, or I've had basket people with basketball hoops reach out, and I mean, in the future maybe, but we really want to keep it niche and focused. And I also don't want to bring in I don't know if a basketball company would get.
We're keeping the gym
much
and
value, right? Yeah. So I also don't want to just I think the event to some people might look larger than it actually is. So I don't want to I don't want to accept a vendor if I don't think they're going to fit.
Right.
So
right. We do have another comment, and this is from Carlos, who is, excuse me, with Adex. He said, for smaller companies, we feel like we get lost at those bigger events. And he's speaking about events like the Arnold. He said, I'm not knocking it because it's a great event, but smaller companies that are looking at bang for your buck events, it makes more sense to go to something like HomeGymCon, because you know that the people who are there to look at your stuff. And I will add this too, Carlos, that you're going to be dealing with people who are knowledgeable about equipment. So if you have a booth there and you've got maces and clubs, the likelihood is that people who come up to talk to you will have had some experience with some type of loadable mace or DIY mace in the past. So they're going to be asking you, let's call it intelligent questions. You're going to have fewer questions like, so what muscle does this work? And more questions about how you manufactured it. Where is it made? Why did you decide to go with this grip, this handle solution? Why did you decide to go with this way to load it? Speaking specifically about maces. If it's a bench, they're going to be asking you specifically, hey, what's the clear coat like? Then they're going to be asking you in-depth questions about the bolts, about the seat surface, things like that. Because these aren't, as you were saying, these are not casuals. These are people who relish and are excited about the ability to put their hands on equipment, when normally if you're buying home gym equipment, you only do it online, and you're kind of just trusting that what they tell you on the website is true, because you don't know till it shows up at your house in a box and UPS throws it off the truck, and damn it, I'm a scarred person. That was bitter. But not until you get it to your house do you see like whether or not this thing, number one, does it even fit? Because if you're a tall person, you might get a piece of equipment at the house and be like, oh man, this doesn't feel right for my leverages, and I'm sure you've had that happen because you're fairly tall. Like you've had something like you were super excited about, it gets to the house and you're like, oh, this just doesn't quite fit my body. Now I got to figure out, can I send it back? Does their warranty cover just wasn't right for me, But at HomeGymCon, it's, I can try it before I buy it. So that's like the biggest selling point to me. Is not, and I want to go ahead and touch on the cost after this, but to me, that you can't just look at how much it costs to go. Look at how much money you're saving by not having to kind of like, throw darts at a dartboard in terms of selecting your fitness equipment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And Carlos, I want to also just touch on the Arnold. Great event. It's actually, I think I went back in like, I want to say like 2015, and it was actually maybe the biggest inspiration behind me starting Garage Gym Experiment, because I went there and I saw all of these companies. Some of them were smaller niche companies, and I absolutely thought, oh, okay, maybe I can do something like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like the Arnold is like, I hope I didn't sound like I was bashing the Arnold. It's an incredible
I don't
event.
think so. I mean, I still like going to the Arnold too.
And I went I still go. Like I didn't go this year, but I went last year. It's just a different experience. A lot of great people up the Arnold. It's harder to like actually connect with them there. But yeah, I think, yeah. And then I just want to look at your question again. And then I think also for vendors, like you said, you get a lot more bang for your buck for a couple reasons. So one, last year, one thing I've talked about with John actually before is just like all it takes is like one good connection to make your trip worth it. And there were many vendors that connected with each other that absolutely like worked together and made their trip worth it just from a good connection. And then also as far as bang for your buck, it goes like with the online distribution of the market, or like just the online word spreading of your products goes a long way just from people going to HomeGymCon. So not only do they hear about your company from like social media posts from me, but they hear from the people that go to the event. And then like word travels via Discord or Reddit all the time. People I see in the comments. So I like look up HomeGymCon if I'm like searching in there, and people just say, yeah, I tried this product, or somebody asked about a product, and then somebody in the channel will say, yeah, I tried this out at HomeGymCon, and they give their feedback. So it's not necessarily like you had to be at the event people that even if they don't go to the event hear about your products just from HomeGymCon. And I think like if you're testing a product out at HomeGymCon, one of the perks like we've discussed is, you have a little more time, a little more free range. I was at URSA, which is again, awesome convention, but I was trying out the new rep cardio and there's just everyone around me. So it was like, it was different. Whereas like at HomeGymCon, you could really take your time and feel like if it's right for you. But at URSA or Arnold, it's like, man, there's all these people around. I can't really focus on this.
And I mean, so at HomeGymCon, you have also you've got the early morning, basically free workout time, like from 9 o'clock to 10. You can just go in there and walk around and try stuff, talk to vendors without most of the other people in there. And then, of course, you can also come by later on and try stuff out. So if you're competing in an event at HomeGymCon, you can just go in early and check out the stuff, and get a chance to, put your hands on it and whatever. And as a content creator, I mean, it was gold for me because I was able to see so much stuff, like instead of taking 3 months to set up interviews, because of email back and forth and all that, I literally could just walk from one booth to the next and say, hey, can I go ahead and do an interview? Can I talk about your booth? And they're all like, yeah, heck yeah. And then to your point about people advertising, that's another thing. If you're a vendor, you got to look at the free advertising you're getting. So you pay to be a vendor at HomeGymCon. Everybody who tries your product is going to post it on Instagram. Oh, look at this thing I tried, right? Free advertising right there. So there's just a whole lot of opportunity there, I would say. And Joey Echeverria said, being able to try something and then talk to the creator is awesome, because you can say, well, think about how many times have you tried to use something and you're like, well, why would they do it this way? Well, the guy's right there. You can just ask him. And it's just something that is so like I say, it's completely underrated. You Foresee Fitness said before you leave they want to give you a shout out and they can't wait to see you at HomeGymCon. Before we let you go, I want to show that we also have one other thing that is new from last year, or it's grown from last year, and that is the giveaways are a little bit different. So you've got companies like, so this is Prime Fitness is giving away their entire booth. So that's really cool. I know there's another one too. Somebody could win. Let me scroll down here. There's something else that you could win at HomeGymCon. I'm trying to remember. Do you remember like off the top of your head the stuff that people will be able to win?
Yeah. So off the top, like there's quite a bit of prizes for any of the strength competitions.
Oh, there we go. Inside Fitness. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, like that's going to, like, a lot of the prizes are going to anybody that signs up for the strength competitions, which is grip, strongman, and Olympic weightlifting. Okay. But we also have, a Force USA rack is being given to a premium ticket purchaser. Prime Fitness is giving away their entire booth. So that's for anybody. So there will be raffles there, and like there's definitely going to be a ton added. So over these, there's going to be, I think we could probably get to like $100,000 worth of giveaways. Truly.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So truly. So, like ATX coming from Germany, they're looking to
nice.
support and give away a lot. I think, so there's just a ton. ATX is Actually, I don't. They said not to say. I
Okay,
don't think I'm
we'll
supposed
pretend
to
you
say-
didn't say that. There you go, Jake.
That's
There
all
you go.
right.
Get in trouble now.
ATX supporting bid.
ATX will be there.
Yeah.
Right. And
So
so, like, you guys can see, if you're watching, you see that there will be 50 times more gym equipment to check out at HomeGymCon than there was at the Arnold, because the Arnold is a bodybuilding and fitness show. So they've got, you go kind of like, you go to the Arnold for, I don't mean this in a bad way, but you go to Arnold for the spectacle. You go to HomeGymCon for the experience. And I think both of those are very valuable. Before I let you get out of here, Chris Sicardi, I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Chris Sicardi said he's going to bring a truck for all the goodies. Says good morning. Jared Martin says he can't wait for HomeGymCon. And I will say this. So this goes back to the alcohol thing, right? So is it like 2 beers or something like that you get with your ticket?
for the dinners, you'll get two drink tickets each night.
Yeah.
And you can buy more if you want to.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, so here's what I'm going to do. All right. So this is just, I'm not going to ever say this again. I'm just going to say this during this broadcast while Jake is here. So Jake is my witness. All right. So I don't drink.
Right.
So, and my wife's not going to okay. So I don't drink. So that's 2 beers per night, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's 4 beers. All right. Whoever comes up to me, the first person to come up to me and say the phrase "best gym in town," I'm going to give you my beers. All right. So you have the opportunity. So you would have had to have been watching this, and then you had to be at HomeGymCon, and you got to walk up to me, and the first person that comes up to me and says "best gym in town," I will make sure that when it's time for the dinners, you get my beer. All right. So there you go. So that's
or you can get a soda or his whatever.
No, you can't.
You don't
have
to get beer. Yeah.
You can't have my soda. I will give you my beer. You can't have my soda. All right. All right. Well, man, is there anything before I let you go? Is there anything else that we may, that you want to make sure that you tell people? Because I think one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, what's something that you wish more people understood about HomeGymCon? And we can go ahead and close on that.
Yeah. I mean, I think about like what you said about the Arnold. Like you've told me, like, you went in the early days and you tried to go year after year after year, and you really appreciated that event every year, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And I think like
it became a destination thing, like, because we made some relationships, and so we would see people only at the Arnold. Yeah.
So I think for people that love this stuff, they think they're going to be into it for a while. I think going to a show like this, your first few years, you're really going to love it and be able to appreciate it in the future, because like it's definitely not going to be in French Lick every single year. So I think like going to the first few years, it'll be a cool thing to tell people down the road. And yeah, I mean, just like in general, I just want to say thank you for, to you for having me on, for being like one of the first to show enthusiasm about the event. Like you literally came to me, like, I don't know, maybe that day, and was like, this is awesome.
As soon as I found out about it, oh, heck yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone who came last year, who signed up this year. All of the vendors, like all the vendors signing up, proves to me that they see value in this, and they see that they want this to work, and they want the community to grow and form and come together. So I think, yeah, I just want to show a lot of, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has shown support, and especially those who continue to help spread the word, like you or anybody commenting on social media, anybody who shares it with their friends. So I think that's the big message I would want to like go out on. Like, thank you, everybody. This is awesome, and we're really just getting started.
Nice. Well, definitely, man. So we got people who saying that they want a gym tour of your home gym. So that's something that, okay, if you want to see that
on your channel,
we can. I was about to say, I was gonna tell them to subscribe to your YouTube, Jake. If you want to see a gym tour, you got to subscribe to Garage Gym Radio, and maybe he'll put it on there. But of course, man, heck yeah, I am more than happy to have your gym tour on my channel. I might, but you know what? For something like that, I want to do it in person. So we'll work out a deal where I come up there to Indiana and do a gym tour with you, and then I'm sure there's a way to do it. That way we can check it out.
Awesome.
Because I think that'll be a lot of fun. But man, I know you got stuff you got to do today. You got a pretty big event coming up in less than 2 months that you need to go finish planning and doing all the coordinating for. So I'm gonna let you go, man. I once again thank you so much for being on here. I woke you up way too early, but enjoy your workout and have a great day, man.
All right, thanks, man. I'll talk to you later,
my man. All right, so that was my guy Jake Jaworski from Garage Gym Experiment, Garage Gym Radio, and HomeGymCon. So if you did not get to see all of his interview, all you got to do is go ahead. You can rewind to go back and check out everything that is going on with Jake. So while we wait for my guy, Don Giafardino, who is going to be my next guest, to get all set up, we're going to go into our next segment, which is, that's right, the Recliner of Rage. It's the Recliner of Rage.
It's the Recliner of Rage, 'cause he's not happy.
I'm definitely not happy. Once again, my fitness equipment has betrayed me. And let me tell you all about it. All right, so here's the situation. I've been waiting for these spacers to get to my house because I have a set of Crandall Fitness monolift attachments that I have for my bench. So number one, they took forever to get here. And I do not blame the brand that created these spacers for this at all. All right. So, you know, they're at the mercy of shipping just like I am. In this situation, it was the Postal Service. So the Postal Service takes forever to mail this thing to me from Texas. I know Texas is a big state, but seriously, they got airplanes now. All right, you don't need to send it here from, you know, via Pony Express. From Texas to Georgia should not take that long, but whatever. So I got the spacers. I'm all excited, despite the fact that they showed up literally the day after I needed them. So I bench press on Tuesdays. And of course, that meant that the spacer showed up on Wednesday. So I had to use my J cups that I've been using that I've shaved. They're not a perfect solution by any stretch of the imagination. So whatever, fine. I did that. All right. The spacers show up the day after. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, let me go ahead and put them in because at least I can get them ready for my next bench press workout and we'll be all good. I put them in there. Number one, the spacers are too short. And I specified a 3x3 rack. I said, I need them for a 3x3 rack, which is what I have. And they showed up and they're about a ½ inch too short. So when I was taking the spacer off, the little, washer that's attached to the spacer came off. So the little short tube part fell inside the post of my power rack. And my wife is like, bless her heart. She says, well, just move the power rack. I said, you understand we got like literally 900 pounds of weight on the power rack. That's how we hold it down. She's like, oh, just take all the weight off. I'm like, no, I'm not taking all the weight off my power rack just to move the power rack so I can get this tube out of, no. That thing is going to be there until I do my next, until I have to take the rack apart to do my next power rack review. Then that's when I'll get it out. But I was so frustrated. And I will say, when I reached out to the brand and I told him what happened, the guy's like, I'll go ahead and I'll send you another one. He's like, man, that's never happened that they've come apart like that. So he did a great job. He handled it, you know, and the customer service was great. I'm still waiting for the new part, but this just happened. You know, this is Friday. This happened Wednesday. So I don't expect it to already be here. But it's just a frustrating thing, man, to have like your anticipation built up for this thing to show up. And then you go and you install it. And right when you're expecting to have it to be ready to go, the thing just breaks on you. And now I'm like, seriously? So I went ahead. I drilled holes in the power rack to accommodate the monolift arms. So I'm gonna go ahead and test them out later on today. I'm gonna do like a quick close grip bench session with my axle bar, with my 45-pound axle bar, and we'll test it out like that to see how it works, because then, you know, I'll have the pins set kind of nice and high, and if it survives that, I probably won't go over 225. And then if it survives that, then I'll be comfortable with putting like weight I'll actually work out with on there. But it was just the most frustrating thing to have something that I was looking forward to using show up and it break on me. And not only is it that I can't use it, but it also makes it difficult for me to use something else that I've kind of had and it's just been sitting on the sidelines in my home gym. And that's the most frustrating thing. And that is why I am in the recliner of rage today. All right. And maybe I'm being a little bit too sensitive, but I don't think so. I think I'm fully justified in being angry about this because I deserve better. I deserve better. But that's why I was in the recliner of rage.
It's the recliner of rage. It's the recliner of rage. 'Cause he's not happy.
All right, so let's go into our next segment while we wait for our guest Don Giafardino to get set up. Once I see him give me the thumbs up in the I can see him, he's in the studio, but once I see him give me the thumbs up, then I'll go ahead and I'll add him to the studio. But while we wait for that, I'm going to go into the next segment, which is home gym channels you've never heard of. So what this segment is basically there are a lot. You're watching this show because obviously you enjoy home gym content, or you're tuning in because you enjoy home gym content. And so that means you probably want to see more home gym content on YouTube. Unfortunately, the YouTube algorithm does a horrible job of showing you home gym content, because they'll show you stuff that, you know, if you watch a lot of home gym product review videos, then they may show you stuff related to like beauty products, because they're they like review videos. Well, then they'll show you reviews of all kinds of weird stuff. And you're like, no, I like home gym equipment. Or if you watch a home gym workout video, well, then they'll show you just random workout videos and dance videos and whatnot. So the algorithm just doesn't do a good job of recommending channels for you that are home gym based, that can either help you by inspiring you or by giving you information that you need in order to continue your home gym journey. So don't worry, your boy got you. So I will recommend these channels to you. So every week, I'm going to recommend another channel free of charge. I'm recommending a channel that I think you need to be subscribed to if you enjoy home gym content. And today's channel that I'm recommending is Garage Strength. So you want to check out Garage Strength. I'll go ahead and I'll throw them up on the screen here. So Garage Strength has, as of today, Friday, March 22nd, 525,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. He's got a ton of stuff here. This is all in a garage, from a garage that's in his backyard. It's at his property. And this is a channel by Dane Miller. And he has he's got, his specialty is developing high school athletes into D1 college prospects, but he also trains people who don't want to compete. You know, people who just want to train and be explosive. The channel, as I said, has 525,000 subscribers as of today. He covers topics like he had a live stream that I really enjoyed on how to develop old man strength. He's got topics on how to become more explosive. So I'm just showing you guys some of the videos that he's got, how to build athletic muscle. And in fact, that guy right here, that's Aaron Donald, who's the thumbnail. And you guys may not know it, but Aaron Donald, who just recently retired from the Rams. Aaron Donald trained in a home gym. His dad trained him in a home gym. So that was a really cool video I just happened to stumble across on YouTube. But you guys can see that he's got a great thing here. So, and he's got videos that you might just want to enjoy. So like he's got this one showing where he deadlifted 500 pounds every mile for 5 miles. He also has live streams where he'll answer questions. He's like, does running burn fat? Should athletes run? He's got a recommendation. What's the first strength program every athlete should do? And like I said, this is a home gym channel because it's at his house. His facility is at his house. So everything is filmed in this garage, in a building that's a garage that he's built on his property. And it's even in the name, Garage Strength. And yet I'll bet you most of you have never seen this channel. So it's pretty frustrating to me that YouTube doesn't recommend stuff like this. But hey, like I said, that's why I'm doing this. It's a great channel. I highly recommend that you guys subscribe to it. I think that if you are into training, you're looking for training ideas, whether as bridges or something to just make your training better, then you cannot go wrong by subscribing to Garage Strength here on YouTube. And if he asks you how you found out his channel, tell him I sent you. All right. Tell him he doesn't know me from Adam, even though I've talked to him, in a few of his live streams. But yeah, tell him I sent you. All right. Let me go ahead and get some comments real quick before I add Don in here. So Chris from Detroit talking about my spacers thing. Yeah, it's great customer service, but yeah, be upset. Man, I'm telling you, man, it is frustrating to have, like, I don't know if you've the phrase, you got a dime holding up a dollar. Yeah, it's like I've got this monolith attachment I really want to use, and I wasn't able to use it because I needed something to take it. Like, it's made for 5/8 hole spacing, and I have 1-inch hole spacing. So that's what the spacers are for. But I've got a workaround. So we're going to see how this workaround goes until I get the replacement spacers. It is really frustrating, man. Carlos said that the Recliner of Rage theme song is growing on him. Yeah, man. Hey, shout out to the worship team at my church, man. The guys that you saw in the video all have home gyms, and we all got together. I said, hey, can I get you guys to do something completely stupid with me? And they're like, yeah, of course. So we went ahead and we did it. And I see that Don is getting his final setup done. He's getting ready to go. Oh, by the way, I am on Threads. So we're doing a lot of behind the scene stuff for Garage Gym Life on Threads. So subscribe or follow me on Threads, which is Instagram's answer to Twitter. I actually like Threads better than I like Instagram because I can put links to stuff that's relevant right there in the post instead of having to do the tired link in bio garbage, And I also like it because you control the algorithm on Threads, whereas Instagram shows you stuff that they want you to like. They want to make you discover new stuff. On Threads, the algorithm shows you more of what you show that you've watched. So the more stuff you interact with, the more it fine tunes the recommendations and stuff that it shows you. So I really like that. Jared says the evolution of the show with segments and graphics is really good. Man, I appreciate that, Jared. Thank you. I appreciate you letting me know that. My goal is to level this show up and make every episode better than the episode before, while keeping the energy and the organic nature of it, because I don't want to lose you guys. I want this thing to keep growing, and I want to get more people tuning in live as they're on their morning drive to work, to whatever. And with that being said, it is now 8 o'clock. So I can say good morning to both the Central Time Zone and the Mountain Time Zone. I appreciate you guys being here. This is a Garage Gym Life production, the Way Too Early for a Friday podcast. And I am John Greaves III. I'm the founder of Garage Gym Life. I'm going to be riding with you guys for another hour and a half to give you the only fitness morning show in existence as far as I know. Every other fitness morning show is actually filmed at night, and it's pre-recorded and uploaded. This is the only live fitness morning show in existence, and I appreciate you guys being a part of it. Jared, Threads is, if you look at your Instagram, if you go on Instagram, look at your Instagram profile, you'll see a thing for Threads right there. Just click on it, and basically Threads is owned by Instagram. So if you just click on the Threads thing, Instagram will give you a couple of steps. Like, they'll ask you if you want to change your name or something like that, but you can basically just use your same profile. And like I said, I'm putting all of the behind the scenes stuff from this show on Threads, and I've still put stuff on Instagram too, but it's going to be completely different content. So it's worth it to do that, to check that out. Jared says that for Garage Strength, Dane Miller seems to be an animal, looks real capable. He learned some good tricep movements from his channel. Yeah. He was actually on Elite FTS Table Talk, an episode of Table Talk. So, I mean, like, the guy takes people to world weightlifting competitions. He is a legit strength coach. I don't recommend everybody, but this guy has the pedigree. You can trust his stuff. All right. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and bring on our next guest. This is our final guest, my man, Don Giafardino. Don, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for getting up early with me.
Good morning, John. How you been, brother?
Man, I've been good, man. I haven't seen you in person since, ironically, the Vintage Strength Games. It's ironic because we were talking about the Adex being at HomeGymCon when Jake was on about an hour ago, and or in the last hour rather. And we're talking. I was talking to him about having the competitions, and it was that was the one and only time I've seen you in person, and that was really that was a good time. I remember enjoying that because you gave me you taught me the rules, and then you tried to help me with my mace technique, and God bless you for trying.
That was a great day. I mean, how many hours of commentating did we do on that show?
Oh dang, dude. So each stream was, because we had breaks, because that was something I wasn't prepared for, that the athletes would take a break and go do other things. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I've got the stream going. How do I fill this time? So I know the entire each stream was probably like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
We were talking for the majority of it. So yeah, but it was good.
That was an awesome day, and it was so much fun doing the commentating with you.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. I walked into that, and I'm like, I never been on a live broadcast like this before. We're going to be on for hours, and I got to commentate. And help me through. It was great. I felt like we had a good rapport going back and forth. So it was a lot of fun. And then the athletes were fantastic.
That's 100%, man. People don't. So one thing I can say is that live streaming events like that were good preparation for doing this, because I know I can talk. I mean, I can talk. I think the longest stream I've done was 10 hours long. It was a strongman competition. And aside from some little small breaks for like lunch and stuff, I talked through most of it. And so I've proven, so I know, hey, I can talk for 8 hours straight. I can talk for 10 hours straight. And when I've done some streams for like a powerlifting nationals, I've done several powerlifting nationals live streams where you're talking 4 or 5 days, and each one of them is about 8 hours long. Except for, like I said, breaks where you're having like they're gonna break down the platform or something like that. But even then, man, I'm doing interviews with the athletes during the break, so I'm still talking all day long. So it was, like I said, it was really good preparation to do something like this. I know I can carry a show, but I much prefer having somebody on like you who can talk about their product, and and it gives me somebody to bounce off of. And I also like the chat too, because then I can say, oh well, this person's in the chat, and we can, people are coming in with questions and things like that. So in fact, you've got some of your followers. I'm gonna scroll back up to the top because I think Carlos was in here. He actually put a comment in yesterday. So then he came back again today to put comments in it. So I really appreciate you having people who are fans of Adex joining our live stream here today.
Yeah, I think we had a couple people contacted Sebastian this morning already. This is early for us, by the way. Adex opens usually at 10 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah. I wait until I decided at this age in my life I wanted to drive to work when it wasn't so crowded.
Oh, heck yeah.
Even though I have to go 2.3 miles. Sometimes Florida's traffic, it takes 40 minutes to do that. But so we start late, and we try to get out early. So this is really early for us. It's not anything, like we're gonna just have a longer day. So it's gonna be a little fun here. And we were excited to wake up this morning. Sebastian was over at my house at like 7:15. He's like, come on, we gotta go.
Nice. That's what I like. Okay, so first of all, let's repay that. Okay. Everybody who's in this chat or who's watching this stream, whether you're watching live, you're tuning in live, or if you are watching it on replay, visit adexclub.com, because that's where you're going to find what I believe to be the best adjustable maces and clubs. I think I've got some downstairs, and in my opinion, this is the best design. I am not getting paid to tell you guys this, although Don, I am taking money. If you want to just send me money, I will give you, anybody who wants to send me money, I'll give you my Venmo information and you just go ahead and start sending it to me, right? But
Payola.
I really, hey, I'm taking money. That's how I get food, money. So I think though, I really do think that the Adex Maces and the Adex clubs are superior to every other brand out there. And I'm not trying to trash. I'm not saying that these are bad, but when I bring up another brand, which I'm about to, I'm not saying it's a bad brand, okay? Because I really do like the company's products in general. But I want you to talk a little bit about the first thing that jumped out to me about your product versus the other ones, and that is there's no knurling on the handle. Talk about why it is there's no knurling on the handle of an Adex club.
Okay, so when I was developing the clubs, I started messing around with clubs 2007, and the only person that was around that was doing stuff, I think, in 2007 was Scott Sonnen from TechFit. And I have to give a little nod to him because he was the one that got me interested in club training. I saw a video of him doing mills. As I went around to gyms that were in South Florida that had clubs at them, I would call up gyms and ask them if they had clubs to try out the different ones, just to see what I liked and to see who was training and how, the style they were training in, if there was other people training different than what was currently available on the beginning of the internet back then. Um, that, you know, I ran across different clubs from homemade to TACFIT clubs. And some of the clubs had knurling on them. And what I found out was that the knurling would rip up my hands. I've always been a working guy, all my life, so my hands are always rough, and I didn't like that. I never liked a really heavily knurled bar when I was doing regular weightlifting or regular weight training, I should say, or when I was doing CrossFit. You'd run across the bars that had that deep knurling in them. They were doing deadlifts when they rip up your shins, rip up your hands. Um, I originally did a textured grip on the clubs. It was just like it was an adaptation of an industrial finish, and we got it to texture. And as we were going on and on, as the club evolved more and more, over the years, because there's many different versions of the Adex club. I think we're on like the 8th version or 9th
Oh
version
wow.
right now. I don't even know where we are. From things from the threads to the shape of the cone, everything.
Plus, I mean, you have
like
add-on kits like the Mastodon.
Yes,
So in
yes.
fact, I'll go ahead and I'll show people what, if you're just tuning in audio only, you want to come back and check this out. You have timestamps for when Don's interview starts, but this is the Mastodon right here, and that goes up to 75 pound, a 75-pound steel club. And
Yeah,
you call
that'll
it like
take
using adult Legos.
exactly. That it takes the 25-pound club. You use the add-on kit with it to build up to 45 pounds, and then the Mastodon kit goes up to 75 pounds for that same club, and that makes a very formidable. Listen, a 25-pound club is heavy for most people.
Oh heck yeah.
So we're getting into like a smaller area, but the Mastodon kit is great for doing squats with, doing front swings with,
Right.
if you're doing, and it's a different dynamic than, let's say, a kettlebell.
Right.
Back to the knurling, we graduated from the textured industrial finish to a modified powder coat, which gives the whole handle a grip rather than doing the knurling. And also, too, I'm going to say that knurling is another machine process, and it adds to the expense, being that these clubs are made in America. I'm trying to save, like on the production side, like I look for ways to save $1 per club. That's where I am, because we're moving volume like this now. So I go back to things that, what is going to cost more, to produce? How does that translate to the customer? We're trying to keep the prices within parameters that people notice too. We don't put our products on sale. We believe that you should be able to buy the product at a fair price all year long. You shouldn't have to wait for it to go on sale. So with that being said, the knurling adds an expense, a machining expense, whereas the texture finish, we have to get the finish done anyway. This is a very durable texture finish. It gives a lot of grip, all over the club. And the weights are finished with a little bit of a texture to them too. So you can grab the barrel of the club to do, like overhead exercises if you're using two hands on the club, or if your club slips, you can catch it with the other hand.
Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and I'll show this guy Lift Like Surge. Shout out to him, but he's using the club right there, and you'll see how he's grabbing he's able to use the entire club, and also gives you an idea if you're watching for some of the things you can do with this. Because what I like about club mace and club training is it's restorative. So you guys see every time he's doing every time he does like the 360, he's gonna be opening up his chest. So it's a dynamic stretch for your chest.
Yeah, that's a beautiful movie. And Serge is out of New York City area, and he's a trainer. So if people are looking to get like hands-on with clubs, I believe he's in Brooklyn or Queens. I'm not really sure, but he's in that area of New York City. And you can contact Serge if you're in that area to try out some of my gear, try out other people. He's got other people's clubs too, so you could try out that stuff. And he's a great proponent of our gear.
So when we're talking about, so I mentioned that it's a dynamic stretch, because we're like, well, why do I need this thing? And that is something that I would credit Kabuki with kind of putting on my radar, because until I saw the shoulder rock, it never occurred to me that this is something that could be used as a way to open your body up. So it's restorative and it's a complement to your other training. Because a lot of times when you see like mobility training, it takes so long that it takes away from the other stuff you're doing. But I think that mace training and club training is a great way to, like, if on a recovery day, you're going to get a good calorie burn. You're also going to get, like I said, you're going to open your joints back up. So like the day after bench pressing, that's when I would want to do a lot of mace thing, because it's going to open you back up, because you get all tight in the lats. Your arms don't want to go over your head now, because you've been doing a lot of the pressing, and your lats are, well, if you're doing it correctly, your lats are engaged, so they're super tight. But even if you're doing a lot of pull-ups, like CrossFit type stuff or calisthenics, your lats will get super tight, and then you start losing the ability to put your hand over your head. All right. And doing something like the 360s, especially, that's my favorite movement, even though I'm not necessarily good at them yet. But the 360s to me are the best movement for me, because it opens all your thoracic. It gives you back your stops you from having to go into thoracic extension if you want to do an overhead movement. So if you think about that, because bench pressing can destroy your ability to overhead press, and a lot of people don't realize that.
I lost a lot of movement from training heavy bench press in my life. As I got older, I started getting more concerned about my movement rather than how big I am. And then it was, like at one time it was how big I am versus how strong I am. Then it started, it went from size to strength. And then now, as I got older, like after 50 years old, I started saying, well, it's time to do fitness for fitness sake, instead of fitness for, let's say, a competitive sake, as in lifting more weight, or a competitive sake, as in being bigger than my peers.
Okay.
And an injury caused me to discover club training to start with, and as it does for a lot of people, and it's usually a shoulder injury. In my case, it was a shoulder injury. I had an AC joint sprain, which I healed from, and that was from doing heavy bench press. I had missed a lift. I dropped it on myself. It was over the 375 range. So I think it was like 378. I was working my way up to a 400-pound bench at the time. And then that caused me to like get out of training for a long time, and I'm talking like almost 10 years. I couldn't get in a plank position
Wow.
or press overhead, and I thought I was going to be that debilitated guy. You ever talk to somebody that's got a screw in their shoulder and they can't raise their arms up
Yeah.
equally? Yeah, I didn't want to be that guy, and that's what they were saying to tighten my shoulder joint up was to put a screw in it because the ligament was so stretched out.
Hmm.
Um, I eventually stumbled onto club training. It was kind of a mistake how I found Scott Sonnen, and I'm glad I did. And I have to again nod towards him. The one thing I learned as a kid, I was slouchy. I don't know if I was doing it as being rebellious every time my mother told me to stand up straight, or if it was just being, a sloppy little kid. But, I remember her like pinching me in church and stuff like, stand straight, stand straight. And I
Yeah.
didn't know how to stand straight. So I would just stick my chest out. But my
Yeah.
shoulders were internally rotated.
Yeah.
And the Mace and Club training helped me to open up my shoulders. And like I said, back to being 50 years old and getting back into like overall fitness, and getting away from the quote unquote competitive aspects of being bigger or being stronger than everybody else. I said, well, how about if I start moving better and really get my life back, like with my movement, et cetera, et cetera. There was a time where I couldn't put my hand to the back of my neck
Oh,
because
wow.
my lats and my chest were so tight.
Yeah.
So, that's not a good thing as you're aging. That's going to set you up for bad posture. So I looked at all the things like what is aging? I started to look into that, why do we age? All of these things, and then going back to why did I start doing this? Well, number one, because it was an injury. Number two, I think I would have gravitated towards it anyway, because as I was getting older, like I said, my shoulders were pulling in more, and I had to force myself to like stand straight way more often than somebody who should during the day, because I don't want my posture to deteriorate and then have you know the problems that are associated with poor posture, translating out to the rest of my body, like problem with my ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, etc. So, that what you're saying, like as a restorative technique to get you out of, let's say, like heavy bench press where you're all medially rotated, either afterwards or the next day, do some 360s or 10 to 2s to open up the chest. I think the 360s are a little more chest opening. You're not pulling as dramatically with the 360, over the shoulder as you do with the 10 to 2, because most people tend to like do the 10 to 2 as a competitive movement. They're trying to go for
Right.
speed, it seems like, rather than a movement to increase range of motion, let's say. But
Yeah.
yeah, that heavy club or heavy. When I mean heavy, I'm talking 15 pounds. Heavy club or heavy mace training after like heavy bench training, or you trash your chest and shoulder day. I think that's a great restorative technique.
So we've got a couple of comments here. So first of all, Carlos said he's breaking the piggy bank for me. Hey, I accept that, Carlos. Send it on over. Don's taking money too, by the way, and you can give him some money by going to adexclub.com, and you will
Yes,
be
send
able to
money.
see some products there, and you'll not only give him money and support an American company, but you'll get what I can 100% vouch for. No promo code, no affiliate link. I vouch for the fact that this is an excellent product. Then KJ Clark said this is a Don cast, y'all. And then Tattooed saying, that's my guy Matt from the UK. He said he's added Mace into his workouts to open his shoulders and improve mobility. And Matt is a strongman, so he competes in powerlifting and strongman. So he's got to have the ability to press overhead. And you see a
Yes.
lot of times guys who are coming into strongman from powerlifting, they've lost the ability to push overhead. So instead, they're leaning way back, and it's basically an incline chest press, not an overhead press with the shoulders. So that limits the amount of weight they can do. It limits the movements that they can do. So it's just, to me, it's a big deal to be able to to just restore that range of motion you're supposed to have. But Matt said it is making a huge difference. My guy Jared Martin said that you're a wise gentleman because you basically identified what you needed and you did it. The other thing I want to bring up as far as the handle goes is people don't realize, like, it was very good for me to see the competition because I got to see the athletes and how many times they were doing the movement. So 200 swings is normal, right? And so if you think about it, you're doing 200 swings, that handle's rotating your hand, and that's really going to chew your hands up. So I don't want anybody hearing Don say that, you know, his hand, he didn't like the knurling because of his hands and think he's like soft or anything. But literally, 200 swings is nothing. It's nothing, you know. Just think about that many times the mace, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's basically it's moving in your hand every time you swing around, right?
Yes.
So it's like a cheese grater going across your palm if you've got knurling on there. And the mace that you guys have made, it doesn't feel slippery to me, not at all.
It's you know, we worked to get that grip. We actually did. Also, too, it was geared more towards competitive. You know, we were, and I'm not going to say that the finish was designed originally for competition because there was no competitions at that time that we knew of. So it was more of a comfort thing. And I always felt, well, people put chalk on their bars, even on a knurled bar, people put chalk on their clubs. Now it's wax. Wax is the cool thing to use. Rep wax works well with our painted handles. If you have some of the older ones with painted handles and you're using chalk on it, go to Rep wax. It doesn't make a mess on the floor or a mess in the house.
Okay.
The knurling is a personal preference. I think most people can hang on to our clubs and maces because of the large knob at the bottom. That was another design thing that you know, was featured with a knob that big at the bottom. I'm not going to say it's there for people that don't have the hand strength, but what I found with Mace and Club training at the time was that people always went for a fatter handle. Like they always thought a fatter handle's better. The fatter handle's better. And when I looked at the adjustable factor and I said, well, what's the diameter of the fat handle of a 25-pound club versus a 5-pound club? My club had to operate in that whole range. So we took, you know, like a median range between, you know, what 5-pound clubs were normally, the handles were at, and what 25-pound clubs were approximately at, you know, what was available on the market at that time. The knob, so the handle size was adaptable because when your hand is open, like in the letter C, it articulates, your wrist articulation is much slower. And when you ball your fist up really tight, you can roll your fist around faster and faster than if your hand was open like the letter C. It's more clunky feeling. So in that aspect, I'm like, well, where do people really train? What weight are they training at? Are they training constantly at 25 pounds, or are they dipping down to 7.5 pounds? You know, because our clubs are adjustable, in the 10-pound range because they're doing smaller work. And then I said, well, this club has to be able to accommodate what you use for 5 or 4 pounds and then also accommodate for 25 pounds. That's what came up with the original handle diameter of 1 inch that we had. And then I put the large pommel at the bottom because I also found the clubs and the maces that had no pommels would make your hands and your forearms fail before your bigger muscles failed. So let's say you're using a club or a mace as your sole workout, like I do now, and your hand starts getting fatigued, but your shoulders and your triceps and your lats aren't, you know, and then you go, well, you know, if your hand's fatigued, you're not going to be able to hold on anymore. It's like people, when they first start doing pull-ups, their hands would give out, you know, their grip wasn't good until they built up that grip to be able to do the pull-ups, to allow their bigger muscles to fail rather than, you know, their hands or their forearms failing from hanging onto the bar too tight until they learn how to hold the bar doing a pull up without so much force, that they
Okay.
trust their finger strength.
Yeah.
So with that aspect, I kind of like, I didn't feel the need for the knurling. And also, like I said, the knurling was so rough on a working guy's hands, and other guys have said this to me, that the knurling tore up their hands. The maces and clubs also rotate in your hand, that you were mentioning before.
Yeah.
And so while they're in your hand, so if you hold a club or a mace, and you put a piece of tape on it at 12 o'clock away from your body, like pointing straight out from your nose, and you swing it, let's say 25, 30 times, check where that piece of tape is. It's not going to be in the same spot at 12 o'clock pointing away from your nose. It's going to be somewhere else, because it's rotating actually in your hands too.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what causes the burning feeling and the hot feeling. A lot of kettlebell people are always talking about sanding their calluses. Club and mace people should do the same thing, sand down your calluses. It's going to do that. So coming from a background of, I rolled pizza dough for 31 years, I don't have weak forearms.
Yeah.
So, like coming from that background, but when I was finding that I was having to hang on to stuff, being, even with knurling, and that I was hanging on to stuff in the larger grip, that caused my forearms to fail. And that's when I decided, the thinner handles were much more conducive to people who really are looking for a total body workout, rather than falling into the myth that clubs and maces are only for grip strength.
Right. So we got a couple more comments. So Matt went on, he said, he's got improved mobility. And now he's saying that he's got tangible evidence of the improved mobility, because now he's able to do split jerk thanks to the improved mobility. He's able to do roughly 200 pounds, 200 with an 18 pound. We're using, there's a rough 8 kilogram rough conversion. So I think that it's the evidence for me is there that this sort of training works. And I'll say this too. Not only is it more interesting than just stretching. I mean, I think that there's a place for just static stretching, but you got to think like, all right, so let's say you're bench pressing. So I did 315 the other day. All right. And then you try to go do something, okay, well, I'm going to do like some mobility work to balance myself out. So I'm using like the light band to do face pulls. Well, it's not the same amount of weight. All right. And I grant you that the muscles are smaller that you're dealing with, but still, how do you expect to counteract something that, your chest is benching over 300 pounds, and on the other side, you're pulling like the equivalent of 5 pounds, right? So having the mace and the clubs that's loadable like yours is, means you can use the principle of progressive resistance to slowly develop your muscles so that you can achieve true balance. And there's such a huge amount of, and I'm showing different clips, showing some of the different exercise possibilities that there are. But I want to talk about how you actually load the weights on here. And I'll pull up another clip from your Instagram, because what I love is how many people are tagging Adex Club on Instagram with their workouts. So we can go ahead and we'll pull up another one here to show you guys, kind of like as Don talks us through the process of adding the maces, adding weight, adjusting the weight on here. So I think this is from Joy Strength Fitness on Instagram, and so she's showing how she's able to add weight. It's actually pretty easy to add and take weight off.
It is. It takes about 30 seconds once you get good at it. It's like everything else. You got to develop your own little way of doing it. Some people load they'll keep the thread set on the floor and stack the weights on top so they don't have to balance it, and then screw the handle down. And that's it. And then they'll pick it up and line up the pins and lock it in and give it a little, twist at the end. It takes about 30 seconds. I've had people complain, they've said, oh, it takes too long in between sets and stuff like that. I've been training my whole life, that 10-second you know, if you're like taking a 10-second break and swapping out, let's say, weight plates, and it takes longer than 10 seconds to go. If you're by yourself and you're grabbing, you know, a
Yeah.
45-pound plate on one side of the bench and a 45 on the other, you know, it's still taking you 30 seconds to get off the bench, put those two plates back on there and get on there. So like, you know, there's no like rapid fire, you know, thing that, you know, like I can see anybody falling and, you know, actually having a legit complaint about. It's 30 seconds to change your weight. And I've got a video of it. I think I did it in 34 from a completely empty club onto 26 pounds. So, you know, but if you know, that's a pretty fast weight change time right there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the actual changing of the weights and all, that's you know, that could be your rest time between sets. You know, you could take, you know, 2 minutes to do that if you want to. It depends upon your training.
Yeah,
So
because you're gonna be tired. That's the other thing. It's like people are like, oh, it takes too long between. I'm like, yeah, do about 200 revolutions with this thing, and you're gonna
yeah,
be glad that you've got time to rest a little bit, because it's kind of like doing kettlebell swings. You do a high rep kettlebell swings, you're like, oh, that's nothing. Yeah, okay. Let's talk to me
yes.
about rep number 100, and we'll see how you feel about how easy this is, you know, so far.
Yeah, that is a good point, and you got to see the competition, so you saw people that were going pretty much like all out, like
Oh
they are
yeah,
swinging,
we
you know.
saw 1,000.
Ye-
We saw over 1,000 swings. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah, that was crazy. There, you know, so like if you're looking at a 5 minute time and somebody's hitting 200 reps on that, you know, you like a cruising speed for the Mace athletes. So this is how people can base their training. So like that, people that are swinging, let's say I did a foolish thing one time. I went up in a weight class. I compete in the men's lighter class. There's 3 men's weight divisions now, and there was like 0 to 175 pounds, and 175 to 210, and then 210 and over. I jumped up from the mid class. I think I was in a mid class on that one because I fluctuate in weight. I'm one of those lucky people that could be 165 pounds, and then 3 months later I could be 195 pounds, and I can do that fairly easy. Um, I competed against 2 well-known Mace athletes, very determined Mace athletes, and I was thinking that I was going to beat them coefficiently by going up a weight class
Mm.
and basically running the heavy guys into the ground because I had more endurance. And I gotta say, 30 seconds from the end, so, Puerco Fuerte, if anybody knows who Puerco Fuerte is
Yeah,
on Instagram, his wife yelled out, 30 seconds, boys, like when it was near the end, like we had 30 seconds to go, and a lot of people start sprinting. A lot of athletes will start sprinting in that last 30 seconds. I ended up putting my mace down and running outside and hurling.
nice.
So, like, yeah, those guys ran me that hard, and I believe I was swinging either a 30 or 35-pound mace, and I'm basically DQ'd in that event. They put my reps up anyway. I didn't want them up. They shouldn't be up in the AMCCA's listing because my mace touched the floor. You
Right.
can't. That's one of the rules. Your mace can't touch the floor once the buzzer goes off.
Sure.
So with that going on, you know, I ended up putting my mace down and running outside, and I still, in 4 minutes and 30 seconds with that, let's say it was 30 pounds, I got 100, I think it's 154 swings, and I ran off the platform. Those guys still had 30 seconds to go, which means that they got probably another 20
Yeah.
somewhere in there. So they were like in the, you know, and these guys, I think Scott Wong had 50 pounds on me, and Brad Hutchins had 70 pounds or 90 pounds on me. I can't remember what it was. But just the fact that I was fighting more to keep, I didn't have enough ass to stay on the ground. In other words, like
Yeah.
I was fighting to stay on the ground where those guys were planted because they were so much heavier. That's where weight comes into a contributing factor, the actual overall body weight. So when you get a lighter guy, if you guys are competing out there and you're a heavier guy and you got a lighter guy in there, he's fighting really hard to stay balanced. That's what I was doing. I had to worry more about where my balance and the actual leg drive. They didn't have to worry about leg drive until they were in their last minute when they were already fatigued. And I believe Scott was on his, I think he did all 8 events for his weight class, which is incredible. I've never seen anybody do it. I think Brad does all of them too. I'm not sure though, because Brad's also an announcer, so he goes back and forth between announcing and competing. So, with that aspect of competing against the bigger guys, and I had a fight to stay on the ground where their weight was keeping them down until the last minute. They started working with their out of their legs. They were all upper body for the whole time. I was probably working out of my legs after the first minute.
Yeah.
I probably got a minute of upper body swings, and then it was leg drive, and the only way I could say for people to understand that is to actually try a 5-minute set. Once you
Yeah.
get a decent 360 or a 10-2, I like the 10-2 because it's just like, I don't know. I think the cadence of it, the bump, 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 bump.
So basically, for people who don't understand, 10 is 2. It's like you're pretending it's like a clock. So you're going from 10
Yes.
o'clock to 2 o'clock and 2 o'clock back to 10 o'clock. So just in case anybody doesn't understand what you're saying.
Well, you
But go
pull
ahead.
over each shoulder instead of continuously one direction, like with a 360.
Right.
So that gives you a different trajectory. And that right there, that part of the competition, I was like, that's crazy. And I always train a 6-minute set to do a 5-minute competition, so I have gas in the tank. And I teach my athletes like that. When we were running at Barracuda Fitness, we had House of Monsters night, and people would drop in and do like competitive mace training with us when it was coming up to comp time, especially people that lived here in South. We had people driving 3 hours from Sarasota and the other side of Florida to come over and train in a 45-minute class with us just to say they did it.
Yeah.
And that was at a time like when Big Mike was coming in, and
He lost a ton of weight, actually. Big Mike.
Yeah, he did. He's been doing I think some type of martial arts training now.
Right.
He's back, and he drops in every once in a while to
Yeah.
Adex HQ. So yeah, that was good. Yeah, he lost I think like 136
just with mace
pounds,
training.
but from mace training.
Yeah.
4 days a week.
All right, so we got a question, and I think this is a good question. So Bassi Abrera said, what's your opinion on substituting a mace with a literal sledgehammer? He said, I don't feel like buying a mace, but I already have a hammer in the garage. I have some feedback on that, but go ahead, Don. I'll let you tackle that first. Do you need to buy a mace, or can you just use a sledgehammer?
Use a sledgehammer. Use a sledgehammer. Swing the sledgehammer. The only thing, be careful with the sledgehammer because they do turn. Yeah, in your hands, that hammerhead's going to rotate around. So it's not always going to be side to side. It might turn sideways. You might clip the back of your legs, which gets a little uncomfortable sometimes, or you hit your butt, depending upon how long your arms are. But you could use that. The hammer, you're if you've only got one, you're limited to one weight. Just like when you don't have an adjustable club, you can't do like you were mentioning before about progressive overload, which I think is very instrumental in going up in your weight instead of just adding more and more and more reps because you've just got one weight club. If you have the ability to add more weight, or if you got multiple weight maces or clubs, that's more of a benefit. Because again, you can go into progressive overload. You can do sets and reps like you do bodybuilding or powerlifting exercises, in other words, and you can train in those fashions too. Like when I want to go up in weight, I'll go down to a 5x5 or a 5x8 to put a little beef on me. Every now and then I'll do it. Do like like 12 or 15 reps, just like bodybuilding. And then, back off on the weight a little bit, but go from a heavy program to a lighter one. But, if you have just that one weight hammer or mace, use it. It's beneficial. The movement itself is the benefit, not the equipment.
Right.
So, that I think is very important. And especially if you're combining it with other training, if you're using it to, free up your shoulders and keep it more towards, we lost sight of the fitness aspect. Everybody's got a different goal, whether it's aesthetics or strength. But the fitness aspect itself, of just being able to move properly like our bodies were designed to, is important. So if you
Yeah.
got that hammer, swing the hell out of it.
Yeah. So what I like about a sledgehammer is you can hit a tire and things like that. But the biggest limitation I say is as far as adding resistance. So this is in real time now. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share my screen to show you like what I think. All right. So let's say I'm just gonna say Home Depot, right? So a 10-pound sledgehammer, Home Depot, it's about $40 right now.
Yep.
Okay, but let's say that's 10 pounds. So then you get stronger. You want to add another sledgehammer. And I just said, well, if you look at, let's say, if you end up buying 5 sledgehammers, you're going to spend, as you can see on my, you're going to spend about $199.
That's
At
200
39, right? That's $200.
39 cents.
Okay. Whereas if you go to Adex Club, and let me go ahead and I'll pull this up here so you guys can see it on adexclub.com. If you go there, the cost of the original handle kit is $185, and you've got all these different sizes right there. If you want to get the fat handle kit, that's $190. The
Well,
Wild Man
actually,
Mace case,
I got to
$225.
correct you on that. Those are just the handles, the 195 and stuff like that. You have to go to the price.
And then you have to add, and
kit.
you get okay. It's just the handle.
Go to
Okay.
full kit. So the full kit, I think, an original handle. What you got? The mace there.
Yeah.
That's the higher price there. So what?
Okay, so that's the handle. All right, so then it'd be $319, but you're still getting multiple weights, and to me that's just the I don't know.
It's cheaper.
It's a convenience,
it's
but in the
$20.
long run,
Yeah, it comes out to be like $20 per weight setting.
Yeah.
And
so to me, it's worth it.
And also too, you can fractionally load that, because all of our kits now include the 1.25 pound weight, the fractional weight.
Okay.
So that 1.25 pound weight is a big help to people when they're trying, because you go to fixed weight maces and clubs, they go up in 5-pound jumps.
And
that's
a lot.
5 pounds is huge. Like if you're doing a mill, 5 pounds is huge. That's like taking your bench and going from 315 to 365. That's the idea of it, right? Like that's the like what would you call it? The scale of the jump, like
right.
Because 5 pounds is so huge. Like when you're using one hand doing this weird, awkward movement that you're trying to keep balance, trying to move in a certain pattern, and trying to keep it from hitting you too. Yeah. So with that, like when it comes down to it, like the weight settings are there for a reason, so that I originally did my clubs in 2013 when I brought them out in 2014 for real. 2013 I was dabbling with them and talking about them online. They went up in 5-pound jumps, the original ones. Then we switched to 2.5 pounds. One of the weights we cut in half. It gives you more weight settings, but it also gave an ease of going up in the exercises. And then I realized as I got more and more astute with the club training, and I used it solely as my training, I found the 1.25s to be a blessing, because for the smaller exercises, or for the people that are doing competition training, it's a way to get more reps in by adding just a little bit more weight. Because unlike weightlifting, I'm going to say weight training, like the bench press, squat, deadlift, all of that stuff moves in a linear pattern. And whether you're doing 225, 315, or 405, that weight basically moves in that same line. It's just you're getting slower at doing it. It's more of a grind to push it up, like in other words, from 220, but it's still traveling in that same trajectory. If you go from a 15, let's say something light, like a 10-pound mill and then jump up to a 25-pound mill, the whole dynamic changes now, because it goes from basically an almost isolated exercise, because you only need your shoulder at that point once you become efficient at it, to where 25 pounds you're swinging is causing you to put a little more butt behind it. Like you gotta,
Right.
you gotta
Like you were saying,
force
you were
it.
having to use your entire body.
You're using your entire body. Like now you've got foot movement involved, and your idea is that's to build the pattern and then to slowly take out all the body English that you're putting in
Right.
there to be able to do that. It's much like a way, like if you've seen uh like a quarterback, if he throws a 5-yard screen pass, it's nothing for him. He's just flicking it off his wrist. When he's throwing it 60 yards, you could see him lean back, weight
Right.
transfer in the
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah.
So that's the difference of the dynamics, and you have to use that until you develop the skill and the strength to be able to move it, and then start isolating it out to just being your shoulder moving that.
Right. I mean, it's like a dumbbell curl. You start, if you're doing something that you can handle, you're able to isolate and use just your bicep. Starts getting heavy. That's when you start seeing people like heaving their entire body because they've made too big a jump. So yeah, that makes complete
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Got a few more comments here. So Jake said this is definitely making him want to get a mace, and I 100% recommend it because it's just a more interesting way, like I said, to do mobility work. And it's not only more interesting to me, it's more measurable. It's easier to measure. I'm not saying you can't measure progress in mobility in other ways. Obviously, okay, now, I used to not just be able to touch the top of my head. Now I can touch behind my head or whatever, right?
yeah,
But I'm able to measure progress in terms of, I'm able to do this same movement with more weight, which in turn is now translating into increased range of motion, and not just range of motion passively, but I'm doing what Halinka Hart and Colin Watson, they're my mobility coaches. They call it like you're owning the movement. You're building strength throughout the range of motion instead of like a stretch where you just passively your body is able to go there if pushed. Like if you take a hand and push it there, but you don't have the strength to just move yourself into that position. So you actually don't have that range of motion yet. Matt said it's a far more interesting way to do mobility than stretches and holds because it's boring. And he said also that, from his strongman competitions, he can verify that, balance is important because he split his finger doing an Atlas stone at the UK Arnold's last week. All right. What were you going to say, Don?
No, I was just saying, Matt, with the strongmen are really discovering Mace and Club training, and I think it's coming. I'm not going to say that it like this is exactly where it came from, but a lot of the strongmen guys compete in the Highland Games,
Yeah.
and the sheet toss is like basically like like that's like a gravedigger with the mace.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so these guys, and the hammer throw, the Scottish hammer,
Yeah.
it's basically throwing a mace. So these guys, I think that's how like this crossover is getting there. Some of the power lifters found it to again like the way I did, like to open up my chest and get my shoulder back healthy again. They either found it through trauma or from limited mobility. So that's why I guess like we could go back to shoulder rock with Chris. He saw the need for that in the strength community because he's a strength guy. Is all the strength stuff is geared towards power lifters, strong men, Scottish Games people, people that train heavy.
Yeah.
And I think that the mobility is so important in our training, and this is something that we are short-sighted about when we are 20, 30, and even 40. When I was 45 years old, I was still bulletproof. And I mean,
you're a young lad,
but I was already living for 10 years with a hurt shoulder. So that's when I started dabbling in like maces and clubs, and that's where I came across it. But it took an injury for me to do that. I don't want people to have to experience an injury. Listen to me, I'm an old man. I'm going to tell you this is what's going to happen to you. Basically that's what I'm doing. I'm saying It's kind of like the old adage of, if you ever rode a motorcycle and somebody said there's two kind of motorcycle riders, those who crash and those who are waiting to crash.
Yeah.
If you're weight training, there's two kinds of weight trainers. There's those that got hurt and those who are waiting to get hurt.
Yep.
And sooner or later, you're going to experience like a twinge or an actual injury, and then you're going to want to like reevaluate what you're doing or try to correct, look for the solution to this problem. And a lot of it has to do with muscle imbalance. And as I'm getting older, I think by the time that I'm ready to lay down and be done with this life, my body should be like in an absolute perfect state, because I'm getting my nutrition on point, and it's taken me years to do it, and I'm getting my fitness on point, which is taking me years to do it. So, like after, like I can get everything all dialed in, and then it'll be. So listen to me, don't start when you're 50, start when you're 20 if you can.
Yep.
Start when you're 30, 40, start moving, get the mobility in. If you can't get my gear, get the sledgehammer, get somebody else's gear, start there.
Yeah.
And just learn how to do the movements really mindfully. I think it's such a great modality. And I'm meeting, in the 10 years I've been doing this, of actually Adex, but like, geez, it's almost like it's over 15, it's 18 years of actually training with clubs and maces. Well, mostly clubs. I met like a whole different mindset of people doing the same stuff that I used to do. And
Right.
it kind of opened the door. And as I'm going on with this, a lot of fighters use my gear.
Yeah.
MMA fighters, boxers, and stuff like that. And we have a few that come by the studio. If you guys are familiar with Adex Club, if you ever been here, some of you might have run into some of the celebrities that come in. I'm not saying that this is like a celebrity hangout, but people do show up here every once in a while. The door is always open. Anybody who's down here and on the east coast of Florida, if you're near Deerfield Beach, stop in at 223 Goolsby Boulevard. We have a coffee machine out there. Everybody loves our coffee. We're getting really known for our coffee.
That's hilarious.
Actually,
Nice.
So, it's a nice espresso.
I knew you were gonna need that, because I was like, yeah, man, you got to wake up early. He's like, okay,
Yeah,
get the espresso going. But you're down in Florida, so there's like the huge Cuban population. So is that Cuban coffee?
No, this is actually Italian. Mine's Italian style. I get a Sicilian brand of coffee, which is keeping it home. And
Nice.
no
Alright.
sugar. I do mine without sugar. The Cubans love to put sugar in. I have to tell them I'm diabetic when I go up to the
Yeah.
cafeteria, because I don't like sugar in my coffee.
Yeah.
So like the little nanieras that always make your coffee over there, and she's like, "It's como medicina," and I'm like, "No, soy diabetico," and then they're like, "Oh, okay," you can't tell them that you don't like sugar, because
Yeah, they're like, what's wrong with you? Yeah.
that's like a sin.
Yeah.
So but yeah, like like the fighters, we have, like I said, there's some people that stop, and I'll give you a little hint. Top Team is like 10 minutes from here.
America's Top Team. Okay.
Yeah, it's 10.
Okay.
Their main gym is 10 minutes from here. So like that'll give you an idea of people that stop by. And the fighters always, a lot of them, well, some of them will say, I got into club training with the Indian clubs, with the wood clubs, to free up their shoulders and to increase their speed. Other ones are saying, boy, if I knew this when I was, training, I'm going to add this in. And then, the progressive strength resistance, a lot of them understand the fact that it builds the strength that you mentioned before, the strength throughout the ROM,
Right.
where, it's not just at the end point, at the lockout point. They understand that the strength has to be, even when the punch is thrown short, it still has to be effective. It can't, be like a little punch. It has to be a full body punch. And they feel that helps them. The club training helps them develop that.
All right, so we got a couple more minutes with you here before I'll let you get on with the rest of your day. Enjoy your coffee. But I do appreciate you being here. Once again, this is Don Giafardino, and he is the founder of Adex Club, and it's Adex Clubs and Maces. So, Don, for those who are not familiar with you, let's do a quick not commercial, but kind of like just tell them about your not the manufacturing process, but just like what's different about your particular adjustable maces and clubs. You know, to just kind of wrap it up. If you were, what's the elevator speech you'd give to somebody if they're like, well, tell me about your product. Go ahead and give the elevator speech now.
The elevator speech is I took a 3,000-year-old fitness tool and modernized it to be adaptable to today's training principles.
Okay.
So that's basically the elevator speech. But Adex clubs are self-contained units. You don't need weights from somebody. You don't have to go out to a yard sale to buy weights if you don't have any weights around your house. You don't have to look around the gym for the weights that fit on there. The weights, it's all a contained unit. Everything was built off of the club. The club was the original piece. So everything was built off of the club as the product line increase. All of the weights are integral. And also too, I shouldn't say this, but you can throw regular standard barbell plates on our clubs, on our handles, if you need to do that.
Okay. Well, my man, I really appreciate you for being here. Looks like we've got one more comment from Matt. He says a lot of the strongmen are getting more involved in stone lifting and Highland games. So give it a few years, we'll all be doing timber throws, and they will need to build that mobility. So yeah, I can just see this continuing to grow. You've got guys like I've seen a lot of carryover where guys who are doing like maybe kettlebell work. So like my man from Mavericks Fieldhouse,
Yes,
is now involved in it. You're seeing a lot of synchronicity where you see people saying, "Oh yeah, this thing I do can be enhanced by this other thing I just discovered." And that's the main thing I say about any sort of mace work and club work. It doesn't take away from what you're already doing. It's a good way to enhance what you're already doing, because you could use a mace to warm up for upper body day or lower body day. You can use it as a finisher. You can use it as on your recovery day, which is how I normally do it. It's like on a recovery day. And I just think it's a completely versatile tool, and I really like it. Don, I appreciate you being here, man. Thank you so much. Everybody go and follow at Adex Club on Instagram, and go visit adexclub.com on the internet, and you guys will see more about Don's awesome product that's made here in the USA, right there in Deerfield Beach, Florida. Don, thank you so much for being here, man.
John, thank you for having me on, and thank you to everybody who watched this morning. You guys are great.
Oh yeah. If you're watching this, please share this with other people who don't know about Don. Let's get the word out there, because he's got an awesome company, and I think a lot of what you guys do. And yeah, we definitely need to get you out to HomeGymCon next year, man. I think there'll be a good fit.
I think we're going to be calling up Jake this week.
Definitely. If you
today's Friday, we're gonna have to call him today.
Oh heck yeah! So Jake, I can give you Jake's contact information if you need it. So that but you can go on his website. There's a vendor thing. But yeah, I can definitely connect you guys. Yeah, it's definitely worth it. All right.
Excellent. Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, man.
Thanks again, John. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Bye. Okay, so that was my guy Don Giafardino, pizza dough roller and inventor extraordinaire. Hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Don. And we are now going to go into our final few segments. But first, I want to say good morning to the West Coast. You finally up. We've been up doing stuff all day long. You missed half the morning, but welcome. Thank you for joining the Way Too Early for Friday morning show. I am John Greaves III. This is the Garage Gym Life production, and I am the founder of Garage Gym Life. I ride with you guys all the way from 6 a.m. Eastern time. So if you get up super early next time, go ahead and jump on here every single Friday from 6 a.m. Eastern time to 9:30-ish a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I can make sure that I say good morning to every single time zone. Got a couple of other segments that I want to go ahead and do. We cannot leave without doing the home workout segment, so let's go ahead and do that now. All right, and so we're going to kick this off with my guy, Matt Brown, who is at Climb Slower. So Matt is doing some squats right there. This is a rack. One thing that I like about Matt, he actually built his equipment himself. So everything, a lot of the stuff that you're seeing there, Matt is a welder and he made himself. So I think that well, he didn't make his own barbell and plates, but a lot of the equipment that you guys see right there is his own design. He's just doing some squats. Looks like I'm not sure if those are spudding straps or if those are just some cargo straps that he got from Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever. But he's got a lot. Look at that speed coming out of the hole. Well done by Matt. All right. And then next we got the homie Trish Babiak. Trish is a street parker. She's been a supporter of Garage Gym Life, as has Matt. See, they both, you couldn't see the banner in Matt's video, but Trish has the banner. Matt has one of our banners as well. And we will have banners for everyone who comes by our booth at HomeGymCon. So if you'd like to get a Garage Gym Life banner, that will be the place to get it because we don't sell them online anymore. Instead, you guys got to catch me in person. But this is Trish, and she's banging out a little bit of showing her different workouts during the week that she does through the street parking app. And I really appreciate all her support. And then finally, my guy, I don't know if he's still on here, but my dude, Joey Echeverria. Joey, I'm glad you're here because look at this. Shout out to Joey with the deadlift PR. Look at you. 556.67 pounds. Picking it up, looking around just to let you guys know it's not a fluke. This is not a game. Let's see that again. Joey. All right. He goes there, he gets set, gets his air, gets his mind right. And then he braces, goes down, gets the bar. He's not in a hurry, braces, locks in, pulls himself down into the bar, and then stands up with it like a man. Look at that. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. My man, there you go. Come on, man. You got one more in you. Let's go, Joey. Come on, Joey. One more pull. Let's go, Joey. Go. Up. Man. And that is how I like to end off the day with some home gym workouts. Now you guys get a taste of what I'm like when I do a powerlifting live stream or strongman live stream. I'm pretty much just like that, like, yelling and screaming because I'm so fired up when I see you guys achieving your goals, pulling more weight than you ever have, hitting PRs. Man, that motivates me more than you guys can imagine, man. And Joey says that guy looks pretty strong. Yeah, man, he looks like he's done that before. He looks like he's lifted some weight before. Man, I'm so glad. I actually didn't plan that because I didn't know if you were going to be on. I know that you tuned in a lot, but I didn't know if you were going to be on. And then so when I saw you pop in earlier, I saw, heck yeah. I definitely, I can't wait to do the home workout segment. That's why I made sure that we went ahead and did it on here. And as always, the home gym workout segment, what are you doing in your house, is powered by G-Code Nutrition, helps you weather the storm. And so you guys can go to shop.gcodenutrition.com and you can grab your very own Vice Tri-Chamber that gives you 3 different options for flavors depending on your taste preference. And you can use promo code BESTGYMINTOWN at checkout. It'll save you 10% and it will support the show. We really got to get y'all using that promo code and going on to gcodenutrition.com because I'm trying to get a new microphone. I'm trying to get some other stuff for this show. And that money is going to come from you guys' support. So I appreciate everybody who has used the promo code and go on and grab what I believe to be the best supplements in the game. And that is the supplements from gcodenutrition.com. All right. Let me check out. It looks like we got some more comments here. Matt says, if I'm streaming Static Monsters later this year, he'll set you a new target again. It's going to make everybody work harder this year. Oh, heck yeah. That's one of the things I really enjoyed about Static Monsters when you came on there. So we streamed Static Monsters from Melbourne, Arkansas for the 2nd year in a row. And Matt came on after he had already completed his Static Monsters competition. And for anyone who doesn't know, Static Monsters is a worldwide strongman competition. It happens basically on the same day. It may be on a different day just because of time zone, but it's essentially everybody competes the same day. And in fact, we had Connor Riley, who's Static Monsters world champion in his weight class. He was on last week, I think, and either the last week or the week before. But he was talking a little bit about it. But it's great because Matt was able to come on. He had just finished his competition. He's able to come on and he watched our live stream. So he's able to cheer the people on who were competing in that. So that was a good time, man. It was an awesome time. Okay, yeah. So Jake, I see that you said you want me to go ahead and put you guys in touch with each other. I will definitely connect you guys. You know, I love doing that. I love connecting people who can help each other. So I'll definitely put you and Don in touch with each other. When I get off of this, I'll send a text to both of you guys so you'll have each other's contact information. The Static Monsters is fun, man. It is basically it's an overhead press. So it's a log clean and press and wagon wheel deadlift competition. So it's not an 18-inch deadlift because it's on the metric system. You know, I know that makes Matt happy, but it's basically a wagon wheel deadlift. And so it's log clean and press, and it's a max log clean and press. So it's not like reps. So you do a log clean and then you press one time and you get 3, and it's rising bar, rising log. So it's you get 3 attempts just like powerlifting, and same thing with the wagon wheel deadlift. You get 3 attempts just like powerlifting, and you can set world records. It's a good time. A lot of times the event organizers will do something. It's agnostic as far as federations. So you can do Static Monsters, and it can, if you add another event, it can become like a United States Strongman event. The one that we were at was a USS Nationals qualifier. The Static Monsters, Melbourne, Arkansas. Then you've got, you can also do Strongman Corporation. If your promoter is active with Strongman Corporation, it can be Static Monsters and Strongman Corporation. There's just a lot that you can do. It's a really fun event, and I love doing it. So now we're going to get it ready to start winding things down here. And I want to let you guys know, though, before we go, what's coming up next week. So next week, we've got Ashley Romiak is going to be back to answer your questions again. We've got physical therapist Claire Jones from at Garage Gym PT on Instagram will also be joining the show. She's going to talk about working out at home if you have a home office. So for people who work from home and then who have a home gym, you know, what are the logistics of that? Some easy ways to do it, because people who work from home tend to work a lot. And so they always have like this fear, like, hey, if I get up, like they're least likely to use their lunch break to work out, for example, because they're always afraid that their boss is going to call them while they're working out and going to be accused of not actually working. So Claire's going to come on and talk about strategies that she advises her clients on. And then we're also going to have the home gym dance party as usual. And we're going to have Greg Santacero from G-Code Nutrition. He's going to be coming on, and he's going to give us a deep dive into the device tri-chamber that just debuted at the Arnold. So you guys want to make sure that you're there for that. If you have any questions about it or about G-Code products in general, Greg is going to be on with us at that time as well. Once again, I am John Greaves III. I appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure you are subscribing, hit that notification bell if you've subscribed so you can see all the content that we put out here, and share these videos with someone else who might love it. Yeah. Joining me on the Way Too Early for a Friday podcast. We'll be back next Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern Time sharp. Gotta have you there or it ain't gonna work, all right? Have a good day.